watching TSN, the sports network, your network for World Cup '94.
Welcome to Edmonton, where tonight more than 50,000 are expected. And down the road in Calgary, they're talking about the possibility of Wally Buono's team going 18-0. Certainly Doug Flutie has been unstoppable so far this season. And on Monday, he gave a harsh lesson to Ron Lancaster's Edmonton Eskimos. Tonight, he'll see what they learned as Willie Pless tried to hunt down the league's most elusive target. It's the Eskimos and Stamps, round 2, next. The Stampeder defense, underrated and perhaps the CFL's best. Monday, it unleashed a storm of pressure on the Edmonton Eskimos. The relentless pressure forced 7 turnovers, and when it was over, the Stamps defense had helped Calgary run its winning streak to a perfect 10.
Well, our defense complements our offense. You know, we just continue to push and push and push. We bend, but we don't break. We just try to get the job done when our offense can't.
Tonight, Damon Allen gets a second shot at Calgary's D. His holiday Monday was a labor loss. Tonight, the league's best running quarterback must do more than run for his life. He has to execute to prove to himself and to others that he can be number 1.
This week we're looking to play a lot better offensively, and we're going to execute and attack them and do the things that's necessary for us to win.
Tonight, Damon Allen tries to avoid the Calgary Stampede on the CFL Live. The CFL Live on TSN is brought to you by Pepsi. Be young, have fun, drink Pepsi. And by Mark's Work Warehouse, clothes that work. It's a great night for football. 19 degrees, not much wind, and the much talked about natural grass here at Commonwealth Stadium is in ideal shape for the second half of the home-and-home series between the Stampeders and Eskimos. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Commonwealth Stadium, a place Wally Buono yesterday referred to as a white elephant. The teams aren't allowed to practice here before the game, and Wally Buono protested by refusing to bring his team up for the pregame practice. The Edmonton media shot back, calling Buono, among other things, arrogant and spoiled. Take those ingredients, mix in the largest crowd in the CFL this season, and the feelings carrying over from Monday, and you've got the recipe for a great one. To talk more about it, here's John Wiles.
And Gord, the Stampeders have now won 3 straight games from the Eskimos, adding even a little more intensity to this Battle of Alberta. In Edmonton, they're talking about the offense, and the heat is on the Edmonton Eskimos offense, an offense that scored just 13 points against the Stampeders on Monday, 26 points in 2 games. So what is the matter with the Eskimos offense?
Well, John, I don't think the 7 turnovers they committed last week helped at all, but I think you have to give credit to the Calgary defense. I mean, this is a solid group, and as any good defense, they are solid down the middle. Marvin Pope, in a short period of time, has developed into one of the best middle linebackers in the league. His teammates call him Big Daddy. 6'1", 260. He's mean, he's nasty, and for the second week in a row, the Eskimo offense is going to have an audience with the Pope, Marvin Pope. He's one tough customer.
Stampeders now more than halfway to a perfect season, and I get the feeling now, Leaf, that this team is starting to believe that this is not an impossible dream.
For your cooperation.
Welcome back to Edmonton, the Eskimos and the Stampeders in a rematch from Monday here at Commonwealth tonight. Leaf, what do you see as the difference in this one?
Well, John, I think the key is the Edmonton offense, and can they control the football? This will do a couple of things. Obviously, they need to score more against Calgary, and the other thing is you keep it away from Doug Flutie. The difference tonight, can Damon Allen and his offense control the football and, of course, control this game?
Tonight's starting lineup brought to you by Speedy Auto Glass. Don't take a chance. Take your auto glass repairs and replacement to Speedy Auto Glass. Underway at Commonwealth. And the Giz can't make a play on the kickoff at the 12-yard line.
Kickoff on the ground. Penalty marker down.
David Ewell in charge of proceedings tonight. Back with Henry Williams to accept this opening kickoff in his first appearance for the Edmonton Eskimos. Number 33, Lucius Floyd. Floyd spent 4 years in Saskatchewan, and he is listed as a backup in the Eskimo offensive scheme of things tonight, but we'll see him on special teams.
Well, John, obviously with the injury to Blake Marshall being a week-to-week thing, and quite frankly, I'm not sure whether Blake will play again. The neck injury is just enough that he may cause severe damage to it down the road. So with that in mind, I think Lucius Floyd is a very key acquisition for the Eskimos, and we'll see some limited playing time tonight. And you know what he'll be primarily a receiver out of the backfield for the Edmonton quarterbacks.
Ready for kickoff number 2. Henry Williams finds his way out near the 45-yard line.
15-yard return.
Eskimo quarterback Damon Allen feeling the heat again. Another tough outing in Calgary on Monday. He has to find a way to get more points on the board. In the backfield, Michael Souls and Brian Walling, backed up by Lucius Floyd, as mentioned a moment ago. The outside receivers, Williams and Morris. Inside, J.P. Esquerdo and Eddie Brown.
The offensive line, and Steve Krupe gets his 3rd start in a row, replacing Randy Ambrosi. But all in all, that is a pretty solid group to protect Damon Allen.
4 receivers to the far side of the field. Allen comes to the near side and gets maybe 1 yard out across the 45.
Damon Allen on the option play, a couple of yards.
Call it a gain of 2. Damon Allen struggled last week in Calgary against the Stampeders. 15 of 28 for 196 yards, and he tossed a couple of interceptions. Second and 8. Eskimos at the 46. Allen quickly intending that for Brian Walling. Matt Finley, number 37, led the Stampeder tacklers.
John, this is what we talked about in our opening tonight about the difference in this game. Could Edmonton control the ball? That's a very quick 2 and out to start this game, and probably the best feature, well, I mean, there's no weak spots in that Calgary team, but the linebacking core of Finley, Pope, and Johnson, that is a super group. But for Edmonton, not a very good start after last week's game.
First kick of the night for Glenn Harper. Angling this one toward the sideline. Taken by Brian Wiggins, a 5-yard return, 38-yard plus. Calgary quarterback Doug Flutie continues his assault on the CFL record book. He has rushed for 7 touchdowns and thrown for 29 more already. Rookie Tony Stewart makes his first CFL start alongside Andy McVeigh in the backfield. Wide receivers, Derek Crawford, Brian Wiggins, and the slot backs, Will Moore and the wonderful Dave Sapunges.
Yeah, he is good. And that offensive line really has taken a turn with Bruce Covington and Rocco Romano now in the lineup. This was a tough position for them a few years ago, but now one of the strong suits in their club.
On 1st and 10, Flutie gets the charge, and the Eskimos have Doug Flutie leading the way. Benny Goods, number 40, 10th sack of the year for Benny Goods.
The Edmonton Eskimos lead the Canadian Football League with their 42nd sack in 1993, and Benny Goods, the leader on that club, comes up with his 10th of the season, and that is one of the reasons why the Eskimos have had a decent record this year. It's been the play of their defense.
Leroy Blue is helping out. He has 7 quarterback sacks, a loss of 17 yards. So Flutie from the shotgun, second in a bunch. More heat, he got it away this time, and underthrew his intended receiver, number 82, Will Moore. A little heat from Damian Lyons coming on the play.
Yeah, and one thing you usually don't see with Doug Flutie is confusion. That time there was confusion within his receiving core. You see he's talking to Will Moore as they leave the field. They were not on the same page on that particular play, but a very good, solid opening for the Edmonton defense. For all intents and purposes, played pretty well against Calgary in that Labor Day game last week, and had a pretty solid game until midway through the 4th quarter. But a nice start for them tonight.
Martino standing on his own goal line to get a high punt away, coming down at midfield, and McGiz has it. Henry Williams finds a little room to the far side of the field and cuts back in. Still on his feet as the Giz sets the Eskimos up inside the Calgary 25. A 34-yard return for Henry Williams. Stopped by Greg Eaglin.
Henry Williams does such a good job setting up his blockers. Now we're going to let it roll, and then we're going to stop it at 1 point. Stop it right here. Here's Kenny Watson. See the little dip in here, freezes him, and then he gets around the corner. But Henry Williams really does this on his own. He makes Watson miss, and now the chase is on, and Henry Williams sets up the offense in super field position with that nice punt return, as he does so often. And, you know, I said this last week when we did the Edmonton-Sacramento game. Damon Allen told me what a difference since he has come back to Edmonton in the field position that he gets time after time with the punt returns of Henry Williams.
Henry Williams shaken up on the punt return that covered 34 yards. Eddie Brown will move to an outside receiving spot for the Eskimos on first down at the Stampeder 22. Michael Soles and the Stampeders string him out. Marvin Pope, number 91. Here's the way the Stampeders line up defensively with a solid front four led by Harold Hasselback and Will Johnson these days. Three fine linebackers, including Finley, Marvin Pope, and Alondra Johnson.
They've had to make some changes in the secondary. Douglas Kraft gets his second start in the corner, place of Junior Thurman. Gerald Vaughn starts at the inside safety spot. Kent Leonard obviously not here with the tragic death of his wife. We send our sympathies along, of course, with that. But some changes for the Stampeders.
12, far side, a completion to Lucius Floyd, number 33. First catch is an Eskimo, and he's into the offense early with Williams on the sideline. And this solid receiver with the Saskatchewan Roughriders for 4 years.
Sorry, John. And this is the sole purpose of acquiring a Lucius Floyd off the practice roster from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, was to gain his receiving abilities. They need more punch out of that backfield, and there's no question Floyd will be able to give that to them.
Eskimos needed 12. They got 16. First down inside the Calgary 10-yard line. It is Floyd again, and he finds the 5-yard line before being brought down from behind.
Now, we talked about Marvin Pope in our opening, and here he is right here, a couple steps back on the draw, and then watch how he starts reading and comes up and makes the play on the draw. See, he's looking right through the guards into the backfield. He makes the miss, and then he'll end up making the play. But that's why he has become one of the best in a short period of time.
Now second and goal for Damon Allen. The Eskimos at the 6th. Tight coverage in the end zone. Gary Morris was the intended receiver, and Damon Allen just missed his man.
Well, that was a good throw by Damon Allen. I don't think he could have put it in a better spot, but Douglas Kraft and Gary Morris were in a real battle down the sidelines, and I think Kraft upset Morris just enough that he wasn't able to hang on to that football, but that wasn't too bad a throw.
Eskimos will try a 13-yard field goal. Sean Fleming has been hot the last couple of weeks. Good on 4 of 4. There's a miss snap opportunity. And stopped short. Alondra Johnson getting to Brian Walling and adding some pressure there. So the Eskimos come up empty on a bad snap. Walling made the catch but couldn't get to the end zone. So the Eskimos, as Harper mishandled the snap from center, couldn't find a receiver, and Edmonton comes up empty.
Well, the snap is high here, and Harper has no chance to bring it down, but watch the job that Fleming does. He realizes that the play is in trouble. He comes out and throws a heck of a block on 38 Gerald Vaughn to allow Harper to make the throw, but I mean, for a kicker, that's not bad. I mean, they don't get the first down or the touchdown, but for Sean Fleming, boy, that was a pretty alert play. And, well, you see Zizakovic with the hands up. Hey, they snuff out a real good, solid drive by Edmonton.
Calgary punter Tony Martino got into the action last week with a good hit on the Giz to cause a fumble on Labor Day at McMahon.
Well, gentlemen, we mentioned earlier this is the largest crowd of the season for the Eskimos, expected to be about 50,000 here. They were absolutely electrified when the Eskimo defense sacked Doug Flutie on Calgary's opening possession. The momentum appeared to carry over, but you have to wonder, Edmonton coming away with no points after that, how much that'll affect them.
You know, Gord, that's an interesting comment, too, because the Eskimos have been really good in that department this year, capitalizing on their opportunities on a good punt return or a turnover. They have been excellent at scoring points on those, so that was very uncharacteristic for them not to, but the bad snap, of course, cost them.
It is 0-0 with 10:11 to play in the opening quarter. The Eskimos had an opportunity. 3 tries at it inside the 10-yard line and didn't come away with a field goal. After being set up on a terrific return by the Giz, Henry Williams. 1st and 10, Stampeders at the 10 as Flutie hands off to the new running back to the Stampeder lineup, Tony Stewart, number 26. Here's the way the Eskimos line up defensively with Goods, Woods, and Jed Roberts providing an aggressive pass rush. And the linebackers, Blue, Pless, Ruck, and the newcomer in that group at least, Malvin Hunter. Very solid linebacking core.
And Ed Berry is back in the lineup on the left corner tonight. And Robert Holland will sit down. Not that he didn't play well, but Ron Lancaster says Ed Berry is not going to lose his job over an injury, and I kind of like that.
5 receivers in for Flutie and the Stampeders. Looking to Crawford, and Ed Berry was there.
Ed Berry made a heck of a play. He was in zone coverage and left his area to react when the football was in the air, and you don't do it any better than that, and that is why Ed Berry is back in. And Holland is out. Watch that. He leaves his man. He had Will Moore short and leaves his man to come and knock it away from Crawford. Pretty tough defense. So the 2nd series in a row that Edmonton has forced Calgary into a 2-and-out situation.
Here's Tony Martino standing on his goal line, just inside as a matter of fact. Williams right at midfield. Finds a little seam and gets 10 yards more than he should have gotten. Pee Wee Smith leading the tacklers for the Stampeders. Still no score in the rematch of the Battle of Alberta.
He's the CFL's all-time leader in punt return yards and touchdowns. So how do you stop the Gizmo? Well, we put that question to Calgary's punter, Tony Martino.
Well, there's a couple different ways you can defend against the Gizmo. It's put the ball into the sidelines or out of bounds, or else kick away for him and make him run after it. I feel we did that well against him in the last game, mainly because of the coverage guys. We got the guys that are blocking for me and getting down there and making the tackle. They did a great job with it, and hopefully they'll do it again this game.
And after Gizmo's big return on the first possession, Wally Buono told Martino, for God's sake, kick it out of bounds.
1st and 10, Stampeders. For the Eskimos at the Stampeder 47, here's Allen. Over the head of Henry Williams.
John, this was the game plan for the Eskimos tonight, was to try and complete some short passes, either to the wideouts or to the backs, and try and stay out of the disastrous 2nd and long situations that really plagued them last week. Now look, Williams is open here. This is a good play selection, just a lousy throw by Allen, but those are the types of things they have to do to stay out of these awful 2nd and long situations against a tough Calgary defense.
2nd down, a penalty marker is down far side as Allen. Look for JP Esquerdo, no catch.
Douglas Kraft
was covering offside against the Eskimos.
Will Johnson, one of the better pass rushers in the league, gets around 50 Blake Dermott fairly easily and is in quickly on Damon Allen. The Eskimos will be called for offside. JP Esquerdo jumped the gun. Calgary declines it, and once again, they will get the ball back in a hurry. So it's been a pretty sluggish first quarter here for both teams.
No points on the board with 8:17 to go. And first downs have been few and far between. Glenn Harper back inside his 50. Good charge that time, but Harper got a boomer away. This is Brian Wiggins, and he couldn't make a play on it. It goes for a single point. A booming 50-yard punt. Almost blocked, but Harper got it away for a 50-yard single.
79, Frank Maroff came very close to blocking that punt, but Harper just ignored that pressure and launched a rocket for that single point. And in a game that figures to be a pretty close game, field position usually so important, and really the first half of this opening quarter, Edmonton has really had an advantage in that department.
1-0, the Eskimos lead with 7:50 to go in the opening quarter. Stampeders, 1st and 10 at the Calgary 35. Flutie over the middle, has his man, it's Will Moore. 37 catches, 606 yards for Moore coming into this one. Wally Buono has had wonderful success with the Calgary Stampeders over 3.5 years, 49 wins. Ron Lancaster, 32 and 46 during his CFL career.
Yeah, and his losing record really was the result of some pretty lean years when he was the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Had a lot of success here in Edmonton.
Gain is 12 yards for Moore. First down, Flutie from the shotgun. And Moore makes another catch short of the first down. Right on the 55-yard line, Will Moore.
Flutie took a shot after he delivered that football. That's probably the greatest asset that Flutie has, is once he releases the ball, he's able to duck away and not get hit very hard. Very tough quarterback to launch a good hit on, but that time he took one, and he's feeling the effects of it.
Second down and 2 to go. Stampeders right at midfield at the 55. Flutie pitches out. Get the first down. That was Andy McVeigh, number 34. Willie Pless read the option play and stopped it, but not before there was a first down, Calgary.
And they play the option on Leroy Blue as he comes across here. If he goes to the quarterback, which he does, the pitch goes out, and really, Blue cannot make the correct play. If he goes for the back, Flutie's going to run with it, but this time Flutie pitches it to McVeigh to get excellent yardage.
4 receivers for the Stampeders, far side of the field. 1st and 10 inside the Eskimo 50. Here comes a charge. Flutie unloads for Andy McVeigh, and he's halfway to another Stampeder first down. Stopped by number 46, Melvin Hunter.
Melvin Hunter with the tackle.
Doug Flutie is having a marvelous season in Canadian football. One more time, almost
5 yards on the play.
4,000 yards.
Yeah, project that out over 18 games, and that would result in over 7,000 yards in passing, which would obviously be records. I think the impressive thing to note, too, only 7 interceptions in all that passing yardage. Pretty impressive.
5 receivers in for Flutie. Here comes the charge. A penalty marker is down, and Flutie was a little bit short with his toss for Andy McVeigh. Holding is the indication against the Stampeders. Flutie is averaging almost 3 touchdowns passing per game. 29 on the season.
Calgary number 54. Penalties declined. 3rd down.
Well, I think when you compound that, John, with the fact that, even if he has an average night, that's around 350 yards passing, and, that would be average for him. It just shows you how difficult it really is to stop him. He's really the only one that could beat himself if he's not having a great night.
And no one's been able to do it this year, but to beat the Stampeders, obviously you have to score more points than Flutie does and get a hold of the football, have it a little longer than he has, too.
Well, I think to beat Calgary's offense, what you have to do is try and take away their inside receiving game and force Flutie to throw the ball a little longer to the wide receivers, keep that ball in the air for a greater length of time.
Good kick by Martino that is angled out of bounds and will pin the Eskimos. No, they spot it near the 19. Martino got a little weight behind it, but not quite the position he wanted it out on the angle. 1-0, the Eskimos have the lead. We'll continue with the CFL Live Commonwealth in a moment.
The long weekend was a very long weekend for Damon Allen and company after he got snowed under on the Labor Day Classic in Calgary. Damon Allen got a first-hand look at the Calgary defense. He told us about its strengths.
Well, because they're a patient defense, and basically they play their type of defense very well. I mean, they get in their zones and they jam the receivers and play very sound. The thing that that they do is basically they may bend, but they won't break, and they feel offensively that their offense will come together and put points on the board. And they just try to eliminate big plays on other teams' offense. And, you know, they do it very well. I mean, they played very well last year, and they're on the same type of defense they played last year.
You heard Damon Allen say that they jam the receivers. Well, Calgary does a great job at jamming the inside receivers of Edmonton, and that means Eddie Brown and Esquardo. So what Damon Allen has to do tonight is involve Morris and Williams, the wide receivers, and the backs. Get them involved in that game.
Eskimos have the ball back. First down at the Edmonton 19. Hard running inside. Lucius Floyd, number 33, got the call. Seeing more action than we were told that he might. He's only been around for one practice and met by Pope.
John, we talked about Calgary's defense and maybe that they don't get the recognition they deserve. After a couple of games, they were giving up 35 points a game. Well, they tightened it down in a hurry, because in the last 8, you can see only 21.9 per game, and the other statistics also have improved. But this is one tough group anchored by that guy right there, 91, Marvin Pope.
2nd and 7, Eskimos. Damon Allen stands in and fired for J.P. Esquardo. That one might have been tipped. Covering Esquardo was Greg Freres, number 6.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Marvin Pope, 91, tipped that Damon Allen pass. And it was interesting, Marvin and I had a long chat before the game, and you know, when he came into the league, everybody knew he was tough against the run. Heck, he's 6'1", 260, he should be. But he said, you know what I had to work on the most was my zone coverage in the passing game. Not so much man-to-man, but in college, we just never played zone at Central State in Ohio, and that's where I've had to improve.
Big charge, and Harper just got it away. Good kick coming down to Crawford near his 40. Well covered by Eskimo special teams.
The ground got him.
He really had nowhere to go, but
a couple of quick moves, and then the feet went out.
Haroff applying a little bit of pressure on the kicker Harper that time.
They're coming after him. Gord?
You know, Leaf, the single by Glenn Harper is quite often a play that would just slip by unnoticed, but I think it's pretty significant because Harper was trying to hem Calgary into its own end. Instead, he gets the single, which he didn't want, and Calgary now is very slowly winning the war for field position.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that really is critical in this game tonight. You win the field position game, chances are you're going to have a good night.
4 receivers to the far side for Doug Flutie on first down. He comes to the near side, and Crawford lays out, but can't bring it in.
Doug Flutie looking for a diving Derek Crawford, couldn't make the catch. Damian Lyons covering, and
Crawford against number 10, Damian Lyons.
And what Edmonton wants to do on defense tonight is force Flutie to throw to the outside. He does that to Crawford here. Crawford can't hang on, but the bottom line is going to be tonight for Damian Lyons and Ed Berry. They're going to have their hands full. That's a matchup we're going to watch tonight, because I think you're going to see Flutie go there a lot.
Just 1 point on the board. It belongs to the Eskimos, and the Stampeders have the ball. 2nd down at the Calgary 44. Shotgun for Flutie. Here comes the charge. Flutie gets it away. And a catch. No, he couldn't hang on. Flutie was out of bounds.
Well, he caught it, I think, but Pee Wee Smith made a spectacular catch. He fell down, got up, made the catch, but his knees were on the sidelines.
Pressure from Leonard Johnson on Flutie to get rid of that ball, and his receiver was down.
John, you have to be impressed with the job that the Edmonton defense is doing here in the first quarter. Hey, they had 3 solid quarters up in Calgary. Their offense just let them down, but they have had a nice first quarter here against this high-powered Calgary offense. I think Calgary's having a bit of a tough time adjusting to playing on the grass tonight. They're doing a lot of slipping and sliding out there.
High kick from Martino. Here's Henry Williams, draws a flag, and Williams gets across the 25 to about the 26, an 11-yard return. Nice 52-yard punt by Martino, and Eaglin was in that 5-yard area. Dubé made the tackle on the giz that time. Henry had a tough week last Monday, or at least a tough day last Monday in Calgary. Dropped 1 return and turned it over quickly. Dropped a couple of passes.
Well, there's no secret the Calgary Stampeders are sticklers for their special team play, and I think that goes back to Wally Buono's days playing under Marv Levy in Montreal. His special teams were always good, and one of the big reasons why Montreal was such a powerhouse when Wally Buono was a linebacker there, and that certainly comes out in his coaching.
Gary Morris to the near side. Henry Williams playing just out of the picture, far side of the field. Good play action by Allen, who looks deep this time as his man open, and he's off target, but no catch. Gary Morris split the coverage. Greg Knox gave him a pretty good hit down there.
Watch number 8, Greg Knox, come over, and as the ball arrives, so does his helmet right on that ball. And that's all you can ask from your middle safety. When that ball is in the air on those post patterns, you react over and make the play. And he put the hit on Gary Morris, and he just couldn't hang on to it. But that is a super play by number 8, Greg Knox, in the middle for Calgary.
It almost worked for the Eskimos. 2nd and 10. Edmonton just shy of the 30. This is Walling. Or rather, Michael Souls, number 32.
Michael Souls fighting for 7 yards on the play.
And he's short of the first down.
By Shrekovic.
Met by Matt Finley, number 37, a Western All-Star 92, and Shreko Zizakovic.
Leaf, you mentioned a moment ago that Calgary might be having trouble with the footing here at Commonwealth Stadium. Well, it's bound to get worse because it's just started to rain, and won't that make things interesting?
Well, maybe for you with that umbrella out there, Gord, but yeah, it looks like they're doing a lot of slipping and sliding, and although the field is in super shape, it's pretty hard underneath, and unless you wear a certain length of cleat that'll really dig in, you're going to have a few problems.
A minute 38 to go in the opening quarter, just 1 point on the board. The Eskimos lead the Stampeders 1-0. Here's Wiggins on the return and going nowhere. A 4-yard loss. Errol Martin leading the tacklers, number 38. Solid on special teams. Errol Martin from the University of Utah in his rookie year. Fine talents with speed, and you saw the speed on that play.
Errol Martin makes a terrific play, just frees it right here. Here he comes, and watch how he extends that left arm, cuts out the legs of Wiggins, and hey, special teams is nothing more than desire and busting your butt to get down there. He did a great job.
Here's Flutie on first down, pumps once, has a man to the far side, it's Dave Sapunjas, and there's a penalty marker down.
Doug Parrish
and Don Wilson over with Sapunjas. I'd guess a holding call.
Holding. Calgary number 69. 10-yard penalty. First down repeated.
Edmonton is getting some pretty good pressure on Doug Flutie tonight, and he's taken some hits here in the first quarter, and watch the hit coming right there. It's number 40, Benny Goods, and he goes up a little high in the head area. Well, that's about the 4th good hit Flutie's taken so far tonight.
Now 1st and 20. Flutie a deep drop. Throwing as he backpedaled, it's almost picked off. Glenn Rogers Jr. stepped in front. The pass was intended for Will Moore. So a little heat on Flutie, and the Eskimos defense is hanging in again.
Well, their Eskimos are doing what they want right now. They're forcing Flutie to throw the longer passes deeper out to the sidelines, and of course that means the ball's in the air longer, and they have more time to react to it. They've defensed the receivers of Calgary very well here, and on a night where Flutie doesn't look as sharp as he normally is, I think the Edmonton offense better take advantage of this.
2nd and 20. Stampeders. Here's Flutie releasing in a hurry, and that one was batted down by Malvin Hunter, number 46. Lots of heat on Doug Flutie. Hunter supplied at that time.
And they're really mixing up their defense as well. Here's Dan Murphy coming on the safety blitz. He comes in, and here's Hunter. He'll drop off and actually get a hand on it, but it's really the blitz of Murphy that causes it. Flutie's got to let it go early. They had the screen set up, but he couldn't get the ball in there to McVeigh.
Eskimos regaining a little field position on the exchange. Martino's kick is high. Williams near the 50. And he's yards across the 55 into Calgary territory, a marker down, and that could be more yards for the Eskimos. Mark Dubé leading the Stampeder tacklers.
Major foul, face mask, Calgary number 21. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Greg Eaglin playing his second game for the Stampeders. Well, neither quarterback has been able to master the offense so far. Flutie 3 of 10, Damon Allen 1 of 7. Only good numbers up there for the quarterbacks, no interceptions. This play, it's Edmonton first down. Lucius Floyd.
Lucius Floyd, the ball carrier, tries to spring it outside.
Alondra Johnson making the tackle for Calgary. That is the end of quarter number 1 at Commonwealth in Edmonton, where the Eskimos hold a 1-0 lead.
Doors.
And a welcome to you to Commonwealth Stadium, Mr. Pedersen.
Yeah, one of these days they'll get the spelling right on the last name. But nevertheless, we do thank them for that acknowledgement here. And it's a fun place to be tonight. Close game, good crowd.
Almost for J.P. Escuerdo.
Pass intended for J.P. Escuerdo. Marvin Pope there.
John, you know, this is what I talked about in the first quarter. Hey, Damon Allen's got Flutie on a night where Flutie is not sharp. And I think, you know, this is every team's dream is to catch Calgary on an off night. And what the Eskimos have to do now offensively is just take advantage of this. Heck, they're leading 1-0. But if they're able to get their hands on the football as much as they have tonight, they've got to start producing. Take advantage of this opportunity because Calgary looks kind of flat here.
It is a third down situation for Sean Fleming. He didn't get a chance to kick on the Eskimos' first field goal try. Here, Fleming from 44 on target, and the Eskimos have a 4-0 lead. Fleming is good again. That's 5 for his last 5.
And oftentimes after you have a missed snap, as they did on their first attempt, there's a lot of nervousness out there, but that time a good snap back. Harper, nice hold, and Fleming comes through with the kick. So the Eskimos go up 4-0. And they have played a pretty solid game. Offensively, not enough production, but defensively, they controlled Calgary nicely in the first quarter.
Getting set for the kickoff, the Eskimos out in front. Solid defense has been the biggest reason for the Eskimos' success and record as it stands right now at 6-4. Edmonton losing on Monday to Calgary. Prior to that, the Eskimos had won 2 in a row. Prior to that, they'd lost 2 in a row. So they've lost 3 of their last 5 games. Fleming sends it to the far side. Good return building for the Stampeders. That's Wiggins, number 80, Brian Wiggins. A 25-yard return. And the numbers were not impressive for either side in the opening quarter. Look at that, 2 first downs for the Stampeders, just 1 for the Eskimos. Stampeders had almost 2 minutes as an advantage in time of possession.
Well, obviously not a pretty quarter offensively, but look on the bright side. Both defenses have put in a pretty good first quarter. Nice close game going.
From the 50 on first down. Andy McVeigh got the call, and Andy McVeigh got 3 yards. Donnie Wilson was in on the tackle.
Yeah, he was. And Donnie Wilson's having a pretty super year in 93. 5 interceptions, one of them for a touchdown. He was right there to meet Andy McVeigh in the hole.
Second and 6 snap, ball at their own 54.
Nice for him to get that trade for Toronto in his second time around with the Eskimos.
5 receivers in for the Stampeders. Gain was 4. This is second and 6. Flutie looks to the near side and overthrew his man, Pee Wee Smith. Covering on the play was Ed Barry, number 13. And just over Pee Wee this time.
Yeah, Doug Flutie is not sharp at all tonight. He's not having one of his better evenings. The numbers reflect that, and this was a pass that he could have completed quite easily to Pee Wee Smith. He had a good lane to throw through. You'll see it right there, coming right at you, and boy, that's a pass that 9 times out of 10 he will complete.
So another 2 and out for the Stampeders.
You know, when you talk to coaches around the league and you say, how do you defense Flutie? A lot of them just simply say the best defense is when he doesn't have a good night. And I mean, that's not a silly comment. It's true.
It hasn't been a banner night for either quarterback so far. Only 4 points on the board. Good kick here by Martino, right back to the goal line. Henry Williams is decked at the 5. A 56-yard boot, a 5-yard return, and leading the Stampeder tacklers, Andy McVeigh. Eskimos first down when we return. Edmonton in the lead, 4-0 on CFL Live from Edmonton. A look of concern on the winningest coach in Calgary Stampeder history. Wally doesn't like to fall behind. He's got the unbeaten record on the line tonight, and the Eskimos have a 4-0 lead.
Yeah, we talked to him this morning about that, the unbeaten. Do you think it's possible? And he said, well, hey, anything's possible, not probable, but just take them one at a time, as you might assume he would say, and you'll never know what happens at the end of the year. Gort, what do you think?
I guess nothing. 13 straight wins for the Calgary Stampeders, going back to the playoffs and the preseason, and including the Grey Cup of 1992. And the exchange of field position, Leaf. The Stampeders have won this little exchange.
It really becomes so critical, and both Ron Lancaster and Wally Buono said that this morning, that if field position dictates a game, then it's going to be even more critical tonight, because in this rematch, you know, there's not many tricks that you don't know about each other. You're not going to really fool anybody, so field position obviously becomes really important.
Lucius Floyd is in the Eskimo backfield. 1st and 10 Edmonton, beginning at the 5-yard line. Allen to the near side, and he hit the Giz. Giz couldn't make the catch. Covered by Douglas Kraft. Kraft had a great week, at least a great Monday, against the Eskimos with 6 tackles in his debut last Labor Day.
Yeah, and Williams dropped a couple of balls last week, and this is certainly a ball that should have been caught. That was an unbelievable play-action fake by Allen. He froze everybody. Williams had all kinds of time to get open, but man, oh man, you've got to make those catches, and especially when you're backed up like this.
On 2nd and 10. Allen got it out for Lucius Floyd, and he might have the first down.
I think he rolled for it, John. That's a heck of a play by Lucius Floyd.
Always noted as an outstanding receiver coming out of the backfield for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in his first game with the Eskimos tonight. That's a big first down for Edmonton.
Really is. That's a terrific catch, reaching back behind him, and a good scheme for Damon Allen, getting outside of the rush and any kind of pressure, and he finally picked out Floyd, who I think is really going to be a welcome addition to this team. You know, Marshall and Souls, there just isn't the explosiveness there, and Floyd will certainly add some of that.
An 11-yard gain on 1st down. Floyd got the call again, and not quite so successful that time. Alondra Johnson is in the middle of everything down there, along with Eric Johnson, number 84. No gain for Lucius Floyd, number 33 for the Eskimos.
Now, who says inside receivers, slot backs don't block? Now, watch Esquardo there. I mean, that got him down around the ankles, got the big guy down.
Yeah, this is the new breed of slot backs, though, Lee. Allen fired high for Brown.
Well, I think Edmonton's going to get a break here, because Will Johnson just steamrolled Michael Souls in the backfield, kind of rope-tied him, threw him down, and he's going to get a roughing penalty, and the Edmonton Eskimos are going to get a break here and automatic first down. That's not like a Calgary team. They usually don't do the silly things to beat themselves and put themselves in bad positions, but here Will Johnson got a little carried away.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Calgary number 81, 15-yard penalty, first down.
And hey, you know, when you're going to knock off the #1 team in the league, you need a few breaks. You need a little bit of luck, and that's one of the lucky ones right there. Automatic first down. They get it out their own 31, and now they've reestablished some sort of field position we talk so much about tonight.
Penalties have hurt the Stampeders early. Edmonton leading by 4. Another good fake by Damon Allen. This time, though, he's picked off. It is Kraft. The pass intended for the Giz, and Kraft is still going. Finally stopped at the 10-yard line, and Damon Allen had to make the tackle himself. A little error there.
Watch Douglas Kraft out here. He's going to just go back in his coverage. Now Williams is going to come out and run the out here, but watch how Kraft just sits on the play. He's looking into the backfield the whole way, and he reads Damon Allen's eyes, and look how quickly he breaks on it. That's a ball that's thrown late. It's not thrown far enough to the outside and very vulnerable to the interception. Kraft picks it off, and boy, that's a good job by him. First interception. Douglas Kraft and Calgary Stampeders catch a break, and they are knocking at the door.
8th interception thrown up by Damon Allen. Now it's Flutie at the controls for the Stampeders. He can't get it away. Fumble. Who comes up with the ball? Stampeders say they have it. The Eskimos say they have it. It's been a good night for Malvin Hunter if they in fact give him credit with this recovery.
John, I think he simply out-wrestled Todd Storm for the football. But Glenn Rogers comes from the backside on the halfback blitz, and he's the guy that will get on Flutie. Eskimos like to do this when they're backed up at their goal line, bring the halfbacks, and here comes 26 Rogers. He unloads. The ball comes loose, but watch 69 Todd Storm. He's going to go for it, but Hunter out-wrestles him for the football.
Oh, look at that.
So the Eskimos, who give up the interception, now get it back in a hurry. Fumble by Flutie and the recovery by Hunter, and so they dodge a bullet.
Back-to-back turnovers, and I don't think the Eskimos are far from the line of scrimmage they were at when Allen tossed the interception to Kraft. Another good play-action fake by Damon Allen, but he slips this time and can't get it away. One more marker down on the line of scrimmage. Malvin Hunter had 7 tackles versus the Tiger Cats in Week 8. And he's had a big night here, recovering a fumble for the Eskimos already.
Well, give Calgary Stampeder defense credit. They've seen the bootleg now a couple of times, so Matt Finley widens out from his linebacking position. He gets the outside leverage, and you'll see here, look, he just will not let Allen get to the outside. Allen slips and goes down, but hey, you can't fool the defense as good as Calgary more than once or twice.
Penalty was against the Stampeders. That was 1st and 5. Lucius Floyd has about 5 yards, met by Matt Finley. Marvin Pope also in on the tackle, so the Eskimos are 1st and 10. 9:22 to go till halftime. The Eskimos leading the Calgary Stampeders 4-0 at Commonwealth in Edmonton. Another good fake by Allen, who goes to the far side this time, trying to outrun Matt Finley, and he slides safely at the 40. Another first down. Ron Lancaster was saying that he wanted Allen to run just a little more.
Well, he's doing it nicely with the bootleg action, and you'll see what a linebacker is faced with. Here's Matt Finley here, and when the fake goes up to Floyd, Allen will come out here, but watch how Finley gets trapped down to the inside, and now it's off and running for Damon Allen, but this has been a good scheme. Finley made a great play to the other side, but this time he got caught inside.
Allen is the Eskimos' leading rusher, 366 yards coming into the game, 11 on the last play. Christensen in now for J.P. Esquardo, and Allen, a little quarterback draw this time, grabs about 5 yards. Make it a 7-yard gain, and the rain has stopped at Commonwealth as Zizakovic made the tackle there. He's a fun guy to talk to, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a great athlete. You know, Sareko Zizakovic was hurt a lot last year. This year he's healthy, and he is playing super football for the Calgary Stampeders. Has an interception this year, but I'm telling you, this guy is an athlete. He can catch, he can run, he can punt, he can do it all, and he's having a fine season.
2nd down. 2nd and 3. Allen tries to find a hole, and there was nothing there. Charging through Marvin Pope, number 91.
Marvin Pope there for the stop.
Wow, this is what happens when you've got a new back come in like Lucius Floyd, and you just haven't had time to work. Hey, they missed the handoff, and Allen has to do it himself, but who's waiting for him? Big Daddy, 91, Marvin Pope. And it's not surprising. Lucius Floyd only has been in here for a couple of practices, and they just had a missed assignment there.
Yeah, I think only one real practice and then a three-game walkthrough.
You know, I suspected Floyd would play tonight, but I thought primarily just as a receiver, but that time they chose to try and hand off to him, and it didn't work out.
Here's Harper's third down punt. Over Wiggins' head. Taken by Derek Crawford, and well covered by Eskimos special teams. Stampeders are hemmed in inside the 10-yard line, and leading the way one more time, number 38, Errol Martin. It is Edmonton by 4 on the CFL Live. Welcome back to Commonwealth in Edmonton. The CFL Live with the Stampeders and the Eskimos. 7 possessions for the Stampeders thus far this evening. This doesn't look like a Calgary football team.
No, it really doesn't. You know, Tony Martino has the least amount of punts of any of the regular punters in the league, and tonight he is finally getting a workout. 7 so far for him.
Yeah, just one drive right in the middle where they put together a couple of plays for the only 2 first downs the Stampeders have recorded so far tonight. Gord?
Well, the Eskimo defense is combating Calgary differently, bringing a lot more people than they did on Monday, and they feel it's paying off. It certainly shows in the stats.
5 receivers in for the Stampeders. Flutie has to scramble for his life, and he's barely back to the original line of scrimmage. Everyone was there. A loss of 2, in fact.
John, I thought Gord's point was interesting. They are really mixing up their defenses tonight with who they are bringing. Glenn Rogers has come a couple of times on the halfback blitz. Larry Ruck and Pless have come every once in a while. Donnie Wilson's come, but I think they really have confused the blocking schemes of Doug Flutie's offensive line tonight, and they are getting some pretty good pressure.
5 receivers in. The Stampeders are 2nd and 12. Flutie shotgun. And penalty markers are down. Flutie is not having a happy night. Looks like this call is against the Stampeders too. Penalties have been a problem for Calgary. Eight for 68 yards, and now a procedure call here.
You know, John, I think it's inconceivable to think that a team can be at the top of their game every quarter of every game. Calgary, obviously 10-0, has played great, but you know, the scary part about this, they have played a horrible first half offensively. They're only down by 4 points. I mean, all it takes is one drive for Doug Flutie, and no one can do it better than he.
Yeah, and he can start anywhere, like right here, for example. 5 receivers in. Flutie facing second in a bunch. From the end zone. And Flutie was nowhere near any receiver out there. He might have just unloaded that one. Derek Crawford was the closest, but he was a long way.
Yeah, you know who? I think he was going for number 82, Will Moore, over the middle, and that's the second time in the first half that those two have been out of sync, and that is something you don't see very often. And I can tell you what, a group that is very pleased with the way this game is going is the 50,000 plus here at Commonwealth.
Isn't it wonderful to see a crowd like this?
Yes, it is, and they are watching their defense play just a whale of a first half here.
Martino is deep in his end zone, kicking well, including a 56-yarder. But the Eskimos are winning on this particular exchange. Here's Henry Williams right at the 50-yard line of Calgary. He draws another flag and grabs about 6 yards. So the Eskimos will be in great shape in Calgary territory when we return. Blair Zurr leading the Calgary Tacklers. Edmonton leading Calgary. We'll continue with CFL Live from Commonwealth. Welcome back to Commonwealth. Second quarter action continues. 6:26 till halftime. Penalties on the previous play.
Well, coming up at halftime tonight, Jim Sandusky of the Eskimos and Ian Robert Stubbs.
So far, the Stampeders have been penalized 8 for 68 yards. The Eskimos once for no yards. And in Toronto today, well, the shakeup. At Argo headquarters, General Manager Mike McCarthy, Offensive Coordinator Mouse Davis gone. Bob Obilovich is back, General Manager and Head Coach. Dennis Meyer is deciding whether or not he wants to be defensive coordinator.
I'd be surprised if Dennis Meyer didn't accept that position. He's held that post under Bob Abilovich before. I always felt like they had a good working relationship together, so I suspect he will remain with the club, and I don't think it's a blow to his ego to stay in that capacity. As far as the offense goes, Bob Abilovich has inserted Tracy Ham as his #1 quarterback. They will run a more conventional offense, not the run and shoot. Some aspects of it will stay there, and I think in the short term, this has been a pretty good solution.
Penalties were offsetting. So does the Eskimos with a first down just inside the Calgary 50. Lucius Floyd fights across the 45. Ran into Matt Finley and was dragged down by Harold Hasselbeck, number 95. He's having a great year. Grades out as the Stampeders' best defensive lineman week to week.
He's a pretty interesting case. He does not have a lot of experience, only played, 1 year high school?
1 year at North Delta High School,
yeah.
and he said he didn't get a chance to play a whole bunch in college at Washington.
And he is a physical specimen. I would say body fat of about 0.000. Like he is he's a big guy.
On second down, Allen looked to the far side. It was closer to Greg Knox, the interceptor, than it was to Gary Morris, the intended receiver.
That's a ball that shouldn't be thrown. Watch Gary Morris out here. Carl Anthony, 19, is reading into the backfield all the way. Hey, he was gambling, ignored the receiver, and watched the eyes of the quarterback. And you can get away with that every once in a while. And he broke on it and almost had the interception. And a ball that Damon Allen should have fired up in the stands.
Lancaster says put it in section 6 if the coverage is that tight.
Boy, that's the thing. You know, that it seems so easy to me.
A fake here on third down. Walling got the snap on 3rd and 6, and it went nowhere. Well read by the Stampeders.
Helped out by number 70, Raymond Biggs.
Watch Matt Finley up here. They're going to snap directly to Brian Walling, and the lead blocker comes out, but hey, he just comes across and stuffs it. It's almost like he was in the huddle and knew they were going to come with it. Look how he gets rid of the block and makes the play. And wow, that looked pretty easy. That wasn't a trick, was it?
Yeah, Michael Souls missed the block on that play, I believe. Edmonton leading 4-0. Stampeders have it back from the 45. Flutie looking to get something going here and looks over the middle. That's been his favorite target all night. Will Moore. That'll be a first down for the Stampeders.
That's been his favorite target. They haven't completed a lot of balls to him, but that's the guy he's been throwing to a lot. At that time, Will Moore over the middle with the good catch, but you know, you get the feeling you're always sitting watching Calgary. It's like a time bomb, and you hear the ticking, and maybe with that fake punt that didn't work, this is the incentive they need.
On first down, Flutie looks to Wiggins, and Wiggins is dragged down outside the 25 by number 13, Edbury. Flutie has them on the move now.
Yeah, more of what we expect from Calgary. That time, good protection for Flutie. That's the key. Give him time to throw, and Brian Wiggins found the soft spot. Edmonton in a zone coverage, and Wiggins finds the lane. Good throw by Flutie. That's the best throw he's made tonight.
5th completion for Flutie in 14 tries. Now, over the middle one more time. And Moore has another catch, number 82. That'll be another Calgary first down. Flutie into a hurry-up offense here with 3:49 to go.
The blitz is coming, and Moore on the quick post. He sees it. He saw the linebacker plus vacate his area on the blitz. He knows to cut it in, and this is something that the Calgary receivers read so quickly. When there's that opening in the middle, they cut in there, and Flutie usually gets it to him.
Another 12-yard gain, Calgary. And Flutie on target again. This could be a touchdown. It is. Derek Crawford. Crawford squirmed into the end zone, and Flutie made quick work of the Eskimo defense on that sequence. 15-yard gain, 15 yards for the touchdown.
And you talk about a great athlete. Watch the body control of the Derek Crawford. He gets the swim technique to the inside. Now, here's where the fun starts. As he's catching it, he is stopping and doing the pirouette pivot back to the outside, and sees that goal line and fights his way in, but that is a terrifically talented play.
15-yard touchdown, and the Stampeders have the lead at 7-4.
And you know what, John? It goes back to field position. When they tried the fake punt, the Eskimos, and it didn't work, they gave up field position right there, and Calgary took advantage of it in short time with their first score of the night.
Yeah, that turnover. 3:04 to go till halftime, and the Stampeders are out in front for the first time on this night at Commonwealth. Derek Crawford has the touchdown on a 15-yard toss from Doug Flutie. Crawford's 7th touchdown of the season, and the drive was a quick one. 2:11, 4 plays, 65 yards. Flutie making a rather impressive drive, to say the least, after struggling a little bit. 4 for 4 on that drive.
Yeah, they took advantage of the turnover. Hey, the fake punt didn't work, and boom, 4 plays later, the Eskimos find themselves trailing by 3 on an outstanding effort by number 83 in the middle of your screen right there. And, hey, you see his buddy Andy McVeigh beside him. Give him a little pat there and say, hey, that was pretty.
Ricky Foggy warming up on the Edmonton sideline. Ron Lancaster had tapped him and told him he'd be going in for the next series, but that was until Calgary scored. He just went back to Damon Allen and said, you finish out the half.
So we will see Ricky Foggy as expected, but maybe not on this next sequence. Here's the giz, Henry Williams. One big return early in the game, and he gets the Eskimos good field position out across the 35 near the 37, stopped by Pee Wee Smith.
But John, this game is not unlike the Labor Day game these two teams played a few days ago. I mean, Edmonton's defense, I don't think, other than that one drive, can play any better than that. And if you said to Lancaster, would you be happy with only giving up 7 around halftime, he'd say sure. But it's the offense. It's killing the Eskimos right now. They've had so many good opportunities with their field position. So maybe Ricky Foggy, who's come in the game now, can get something on track, because Damon Allen just couldn't.
Foggy at the controls for the Eskimos with a first down. Fakes once and looks deep. It's not picked up. It looked like it might have been intercepted by Knox. The intended receiver was Henry Williams, and Foggy didn't miss by all that much.
Well, you know, he made one mistake though, John. The fake was perfect. Watch the pump fake. Williams on the little hook and go right there, and he gets in behind Anthony, but that ball has to be in the air quicker and more to the outside. You've got to keep it away from the middle safety, because Foggy has to know with his experience that the safety's going to be working that way.
Morris to the near side. It is Eddie Brown flanked to the far side of the field. Christensen in at slot back for the Eskimos. Williams on the sidelines for this play, and here's Foggy in trouble again. Chased down by Marvin Pope.
Ricky Foggy trying to alert Marvin Pope. Does, throws the ball out of bounds. Pass intended for Michael Souls.
Souls was the intended receiver. I think marker down.
I think Foggy did one thing right there. He got rid of the ball where nobody else could catch it, and that's been one of the problems for him. He has been unwilling to do that, throwing the ball up and putting it into areas that can be picked off. This time he said, hey, nothing's going to work here. I'm getting rid of it. Maybe they call him for intentional grounding.
The flag was dropped in error. Ricky Foggy has not seen a great deal of action for the Eskimos. 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, about 570 yards passing so far.
John, one of the toughest things to tell a young quarterback, and you know, he's been in the league for 6 years, but he still is young in maturity for pro experience, is to when to bite the bullet. That time at least he did the right thing.
Blocked. Raymond Biggs got through to block the punt by Harper, and that's another costly miscue. Eaglin. So Harper is blocked, and the Stampeders have field position once more.
And the Stampeders have been close a couple of times tonight, and finally number 70, a reserve linebacker, Raymond Biggs, makes the play, and the second turnover in a row for the Edmonton Eskimos. There you see right up the gut, nobody blocked him. Slowly, the Eskimos are self-destructing here late in the second quarter.
1st and 10. Stampeders at the 43. This is the newcomer, Tony Stewart. Running into Tony Woods, number 91 for the Eskimos. Stewart, the all-time leading rusher at Iowa, playing his first game for the Stampeders in place of Keyman Jenkins.
Sorry, John. One of the reasons why the Eskimo defense is sacking the quarterback so much has been the play of 91 Tony Woods. He's the nose tackle over the center, and more often than not, teams have been having to use 2 people to keep him away from the quarterback, and it's opened up a lot of opportunities for the other defensive players.
5 receivers in for the Stampeders. This is 2nd and 12. Flutie stands in, ducks, fires, and a penalty marker comes down. Moore was the intended receiver, number 82, and Flutie barely got away from the charge. Glenn Rogers was covering on Moore, and that's where the flag is. Rogers didn't time it perfectly. He hit Moore just a split second early.
Forward pass interference. Edmonton number 26. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Well, the fans here don't like it, and I thought it was awfully close. And, you know, had Will Moore worked harder back to the quarterback, the contact wouldn't have even been created, but he just sits there, and Rogers runs into him from behind, and the officials have no choice but to call the contacting there. But had Moore run a better pattern, maybe it wouldn't have happened.
It was 2nd and 12. Now it's 1st and 10. Stampeders. 5 receivers in for Calgary. Flutie to the near side. He has Pee Wee Smith. Smith stopped short of a first down. A horde of Eskimos surround him, but Ed Berry got there first.
Hey, Pee Wee took him on. He put his head down and said, I'm going to try and run over somebody and get that first down. This is a great look at it here. Watch the initial play. He gets some room to run, and watch this. He turns into a fullback. Watch this. He's going to take somebody on. Headbutts Ed Berry and tries to run over him, and comes up a little short for the first down, but pretty courageous effort for a small receiver.
7-yard gain. This will be 2nd and 3. Stampeders leading the Eskimos 7-4. 2 minutes to go till halftime. Flutie on target for Crawford, and that'll be enough for the first down. He was met by Ed Berry. 13 for the Eskimos. Another 7 yards. And Flutie has this hurry-up offense working rather well.
Well, I think Flutie and Crawford can do that all the way down the field if the Edmonton corners refuse to come up and play a little tighter. You know, 2nd and 3, if you give that much room to them, you know, you're going to complete a lot of passes. Larry Ruck made a nice effort to tip the ball, but Flutie just got it over the top of his hand.
1st and 10, Stampeders. The ball at the Eskimo 21. Another 5 receiver set. Flutie, sideline pattern, and out of bounds that time. Moore held on, but he was out of bounds. Covered by Glenn Rogers Jr., number 26. There's the other Moore, Ken Moore, the veteran of the Stampeders.
You know, John, you and I have done quite a few Edmonton games this year, and I have really been impressed with the play of 26 Glenn Rogers. He is a rookie in the defensive secondary there, and he seems to just get better and better each game, and he is certainly not a guy you can pick on.
3 interceptions on the season, maybe more importantly, 43 tackles.
Well, he does a good job blitzing the quarterback, too, when he's called upon to do that.
On 2nd and 10, a 5 receiver set, and that one was knocked away. I think Willie Pless might have gotten a hand on that, number 39. Derek Crawford was the intended receiver of Doug Flutie. So with 1:30 to go, the Stampeders send in the field goal team.
Here's Willie Pless right in the middle. Now watch, when he's not pressuring anybody in his area, he's coming and he's looking out here to see who's coming into that zone. And as the ball is in the air, he does maybe get a hand on it here. But see, now he's looking for receivers coming in there. And I don't think he tipped it, but it shows you why he is one of the most active inside linebackers in the league with tremendous range.
Here's Mark McLaughlin. He had a tough week last week in the Stampeders' victory. He missed 3, 2 from inside the 20-yard line. But he is on target tonight, so the Stampeders have a 6-point lead. A 28-yard field goal by Mark McLaughlin, so the Stampeders have scored on back-to-back possessions.
And really the story of this game with 1:26 to go in the first half has been the ineffective Edmonton offense once again. They've had opportunities. They have not been able to capitalize, and with a team such as the Calgary Stampeders, as good as they are, you know it's only a matter of time before they get on track, and Ron Lancaster's team gets in trouble.
Yeah, Ronnie's still trying to figure out what to do with his offensive scheme of things. Foggy is in at quarterback in relief of Allen already. Stay with us at halftime. The Ferroni File, a sports updates. Latest details on the Argo story from earlier in the day and the story of this game.
I just told it.
I thought you did, yeah. So maybe we'll shorten that segment down a bit. 10-4. Calgary leading Edmonton. 1:26 to go till halftime at Commonwealth. Hey, this place is almost full tonight. It's terrific to see. Stampeder kickoff. And this is the Giz. Henry Williams starting at his 20. He's quickly across the 40. Instant field position for the Eskimos out near the 45.
John, well, I've got a minute here. I'd like to say hello to a good friend of TSN's who watches all the CFL games we do, a big CFL fan. His name is Robert Dumas, and he's in the Etobicoke General Hospital in Toronto recuperating, and we wish you all the best and hope you're up and around soon, and thanks for watching us so much.
Hey, come here.
Speedy recovery, Robert. Hope you're enjoying the action from Commonwealth. Total offense for the Eskimos is not impressive. 68 yards so far.
And Damon Allen back in at quarterback.
Counter.
Another penalty flag is down. Michael Souls, the ball carrier, and Matt Finley, the tackler, along with Marvin Pope.
Matt Finley leading the tacklers for Calgary.
Stampeders' record with Marvin Pope at middle linebacker is rather impressive. 15 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie.
Holding. Edmonton number 53. 10-yard penalty. First down repeated.
Well, what it allowed the Stampeders to do was to move Alondra Johnson to the outside where I think he is more effective. So, you know, the move was twofold, and Pope is a tremendous middle linebacker. They get AJ on the outside, and they have never looked back defensively since they did that late last season.
1st and 20. Allen from the shotgun. Little screen pass to Michael Souls, and he's dropped down to the 40-yard line. 7 yards the gain, and Finley on the tackle. He's having a solid night. He usually does, though, number 37.
Yeah, he's kind of the unsung guy in the linebacking core. He's a captain on that team and a tremendous leader among his teammates, and Matt Finley has quietly had his usual strong game on defense. Read the screen perfectly there.
Eskimos at their own 40, 2nd and 13. Allen out pattern, far side. That was J.P. Esquerdo. Now, does he have enough for the first down? We'll see where they spot the ball. Looks like a 12-yard gain, so a yard short.
He'll be shy in the first down.
Now, the last gamble was 3rd and 6, and that was on the fake punt. And that set the Stampeders up.
Oh, good protection for Allen that time, and he's able to step up on that front foot and deliver a much harder ball to the outside and able to complete that ball to Esquerdo. But they do come up a little bit short, and Ron Lancaster in a very tight 10-4 game decides that he will not gamble here. I think it's a good decision. You can't give the ball to Flutie at midfield with 50 seconds remaining if you don't make it.
Harper standing back near his 35. High kick, he angles it. Far side hash marks taken by Derek Crawford, and there's nowhere to run for Derek. 43 seconds till the half with the Stampeders leading by 6 at 10-4.
Takes it out of bounds. The Stamps start 1st and 10, ball going on the 11-yard line.
Yeah, those special teams, that's a lot of fun, eh? Jed Roberts sneaks one in from the blind side of Pope, and well, you run down that field, you better have your head on a swivel with the kind of hitters that are out on the field tonight.
Into the final 43 seconds now. The rematch of the Battle of Alberta. They met on Monday in Calgary. Stampeders won in a walk. Moore makes the catch. It'll be out for a first down. In front of Ed Berry. Doug Parrish, rather, number 14.
Yeah, Edmonton, with only 37 seconds left and Calgary deep in their own territory, has brought Doug Parrish in as the nickelback.
Yards and a first down for the Stampeders.
Against the long pass by Doug Flutie.
They'll scrimmage from their own 23-yard line.
It'll be a first down, 37 seconds till halftime. Gain was 12. Pee-wee Smith to the near side for the Stampeders in a 5-receiver set. comes the blitz. Flutie reads it and swings for McVay. He lost the ball. Stampeders look to have recovered. Flutie himself.
The pass to Andy McVay, fumbles on the play. And the magic Flutie.
Andy McVay was the intended receiver.
That's pretty heads-up play by Flutie. This screen pass that they're trying to set up just really never got off the ground. And actually, Flutie probably could have run for the first down, but he chooses to dump it off. And McVay is hit by Ruck. The ball is loose, and Doug Flutie is very fortunate that he was able to recover that.
Stampeders gain 8.
Talk about little plays throughout the course of a game that may affect the outcome.
Yeah, well, that was instant 3 if the Eskimos had picked up that turnover.
Absolutely.
Now they've got a problem with the clock, I believe. Nope. That'll be the end of the opening half. The Calgary Stampeders in front of the Edmonton Eskimos at 10-4. Stay with us for the halftime entertainment coming up. From Commonwealth, this is CFL Live.
In just 6 months,
It's a goaltender's battle so far. Looks a lot like the Flames and the Oilers, but it's the Stamps and the Eskimos, and it's 10-4 Calgary, leading after the first half as the defenses continue to dominate. Well, the big story in football today, the Argos shakeup gone. The general manager, Mike McCarthy, along with the offensive coordinator, Mouse Davis. Dennis Meyer, the head coach, has been offered the position of defensive coordinator. No word on whether or not he's going to take that right away. So that's the big news that comes out of today. And tonight on the Ferroni File, Dan will take a look at some of the happenings from the first half of the season. From the undefeated Calgary Stampeders on down, it's been an eventful 9 weeks.
Well, the kids are back in school, summer's over, and it's time to get down to business in the CFL. This week on the Ferroni File, we thought we'd take a look back at the first half of the season. Some of the great plays and not so great plays that caught our attention in the first 9 weeks. We'll start off with the best catch by a quarterback, Gerald Alphin to Matt Dunnigan. Dunnigan with the slide. How about best catch by an announcer, our very own Gordon Miller with the first down. Our man of the year so far has to be Dancing Gabe. They love him in Winnipeg. And what kind of season has it been for the Toronto Argonauts? Take a look at this. It's been a pretty good season for the Giz. Giz with the flip of the year so far. As for the best unintentional flip, how about Will Moore of the Calgary Stampeders with some help from Andre Francis? Speaking of flips, you'll flip over this interception by Winnipeg's Bobby Evans. Off the shoulder, one hand, then the other, comes down with it, and that is worth one more look. Hit of the year? Let's ask Danny Barrett what he thinks. Hello, Stu Hill, ouch. Of course, as we all know, you can't have a great hit or a great catch without a great celebration. Check out O.J. Brigance and Zach Allen. Or Winnipeg's Alfred Payton. Or how about Del Lyles? Nice moves. In the end zone, Matt Clark and Mike Trevathan. And not to be outdone, here's Gerald Alpham and David Williams. Speaking of David Williams, time now for the catch of the year. And in order to be considered, here are the rules. You're only allowed to use one hand. So here we go. First of all, Darrell K. Smith of the Edmonton Eskimos. He's got the one hand out, brings it in, not bad. Now check out Rod Harris. Who said there's no gold in Sacramento? And finally, our man David Williams, one hand, traps it with his legs. Let's call this an early candidate for catch of the year. So there you have it, nominees at the halfway point for the first annual Ferroni File Awards. And who knows, you may see potential candidates for the second half of the season in this week's edition of Football Ferroni Fashion.
halftime score, the Stampeders lead the Eskimos 10-4. Seems to me that was the score last Thursday with the Eskimos in Sacramento in town. Not a whole bunch of offense in the opening half, Leaf.
No, it really wasn't. You know, I thought the defenses both played well. I mean, we know Calgary's is going to play well, and for the most part, Edmonton's has played well this year. But to me, the killer is the lack of offense for Edmonton. But they got off to a great start defensively, and for the first quarter, they had Doug Flutie totally confused, and Benny Goods right here is going to make the sack. That was his 10th so far this year, and ranks him 3rd in the CFL. But I don't think you can fault the Edmonton defense, really.
And after a fake punt by the Eskimos on 3rd down, the Stampeders went to work, and Flutie finally got the end zone.
Wow, this is a terrific athletic play by Derek Crawford. He pivots as he catches the ball and able to beat Ed Berry, miss the tackle there and get into the end zone. So they took advantage of that turnover in a hurry. And, you know, like I said in the second quarter, Calgary is like a time bomb. You hear them ticking and ticking, and it's only a matter of time before they strike. And unless Edmonton gets some offense in the second half, they can't win this game.
No, they absolutely cannot. And we'll see if Foggy can get the Eskimos fired up when the second half continues. Lots of fireworks at Commonwealth, but not much offense for the Eskimos.
At halftime, Ron Lancaster told his team to relax and told them something else. Stop playing to avoid losing and start playing to beat this team, because you can. His team fails 10-4 as we begin the second half. Should be more great 30 minutes of football, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Lancaster's team certainly not out of this game with a 6-point deficit to overcome. Last week, or at least Monday in Calgary, they were down 15-7 in the fourth quarter. Still had a chance in the fourth quarter, but folded there. Eskimos need a little offense, but Calgary will get the ball first as the second half gets underway. Fleming's kick bouncing to Brian Wiggins. He starts off near the 10. Finds speed for Wiggins. Away from a couple of tackles, he's out to the 45. Good start for the Stampeders. Doug Parrish over to make the tackle for the Eskimos. Here are the numbers from the opening half. Not very impressive on either side of the ball. The Eskimos turned it over 3 times. Calgary with a possession lead at 15-46 to 14-14.
John, you know, we said the difference in this game would be if Edmonton can control the ball for so many reasons, and with only 87 net yards, I mean, they just didn't come close. And quarterback numbers, Doug Flutie picked it up in the second quarter, but Damon Allen obviously has struggled tonight.
5 receiver set for Doug Flutie beginning the second half near the 45-yard line. Flutie airs this one out far side of the field. It's a floater and picked off by Doug Parrish. Parrish needs a block. Spins his way in across the 35-yard line. Just what the Eskimos ordered. Crawford was the intended receiver.
And that's one of the reasons why the Eskimos have a 6-4 record coming into tonight's game. Their ability to take the ball away this year. And, you know, it looks as though Flutie's trying to avoid maybe some pressure from Goods up the middle. He throws it off his back foot, and it stayed up there for an eternity. Crawford goes down, and Doug Parrish comes up with his first interception of the year. So that nickel back, the extra defensive back system, pays off for the Eskimos with an early break here in the third quarter.
1st and 10 Edmonton at the Calgary 35-yard line. Allen handing out to Michael Souls, and there's a big hole opened up on the right side for Michael Souls. Marvin Pope made the tackle. Look again.
And here's Mike Souls here, but watch the blocks here on this side where they get Johnson and Zizakovic, and at the point of attack, they do a good job to fold everybody down. Chris Morris on A.J. Johnson, and good way to start off. They pick up a first down on the ground, and if Edmonton can run the ball, they can get back in this game in a hurry.
And even 10 yards, the Eskimos at the Stampeder 25. They run again. No, it's a good fake by Allen. Looking to the corner for Morris. Good play action fake by Damon Allen. Carl Anthony was covering.
And that's, of course, what the running game will do for Damon Allen. Set up the play actions. It was a superb fake here. It certainly fooled the linebacking core of the Calgary Stampeders, fooled our camera and everybody. But the bottom line was he was not able to complete the pass.
2nd and 10, Eskimos.
They need a score here, John.
Well, they should get at least 3, but 6 would be nice here on 2nd and 10. Calgary in the lead at 10-4. The blitz is on. Allen got it away, but barely. Morris was the intended receiver. Eskimos will settle for a field goal try.
And here's what Damon Allen's looking at. They run a twist with Eric Johnson right here and Harold Hasselbeck. Hasselbeck goes here. Watch Johnson come clean right up the middle, and this forces Allen to throw the ball before he is ready. See, Hasselbeck, he takes 2 guys. And Allen threw that before he was ready and didn't get enough on it. Consequently, they have to settle for a field goal when they desperately wanted to score the touchdown off that interception.
Sean Fleming from the 32. No mistake about that as the Eskimos add 3 more. It's a 3-point ball game at 10-7 Calgary. Sean Fleming has been kicking the lights out for the Eskimos, and he's been perfect so far tonight. Calgary leading 10-7.
Well, a lot of talk about Doug Flutie's great year in Calgary, and rightfully so, and perhaps overshadowed a little bit is the play of David Sapunjas, the graduate of the University of Western Ontario. After 10 games, 63 catches already and 10 touchdowns. So every 6 catches for him is 6 points. That would figure out to a season of 113 catches for Sapunjas and 18 touchdowns. He'd be the first Canadian ever to have 100 receptions in a CFL season. And Leaf, I know that's surprising to a lot of people, that no Canadian has ever had 100 catches in the CFL.
Zeros are up for Sapunjas tonight, though.
Yeah, Gord, he's got a long way to go. 63 is a good start here with 8 games remaining, but tonight, a big goose egg there.
Yeah, he leads the Canadian Football League in receptions with 63, and he is 3rd in total yardage behind 2 other Canadians, Saskatchewan's Ray Elgard and Jeff Fairholm, which is rather interesting.
You know, John, I could tell you without a doubt, knowing Doug Flutie the way I do and we all do, and the affection that he has for David Sapunjas, Flutie is going to do everything in his power to make sure that Dave Sapunjas becomes the first Canadian to go over the 100 reception yard mark. Mark
Basically,
my words.
Needs 5 catches a game. Eskimo kickoff coming down at the 10-yard line. This is Brian Wiggins. Good return on the last one, not quite as successful this time. He's brought down from behind by Trent Brown, number 28. Here comes Flutie, not a sparkling first half, but he drove for a touchdown and a field goal in the late stages to give Calgary the lead.
Now, one of the attributes that you could say about Flutie is the fact that he just doesn't beat himself either. I think the numbers reflect that this year. 30 touchdown passes and only 8 interceptions. He threw one on the last series, but Doug Flutie is not going to hand this game to Edmonton.
Stampeders with a 5-receiver set. Flutie, the shotgun. Time to get it away. Will Moore makes the catch. He'll have a first down as he's dropped near the 45 by Doug Parrish, number 14. And penalty markers down in the Eskimo secondary. Against the Eskimos.
Major foul, face mask, Edmonton number 14. First down.
Parrish not only made the tackle, he got caught for the infraction. So the Stampeders move to the Eskimo 50. Again, Flutie has 5 receivers in. 3 to the far side. Comes the blitz, and Flutie looked long. Crawford was the intended receiver, number 83. Flutie was over his head with Damian Lyons covering.
And once again, Doug Flutie faced with some pretty hard pressure up the middle. This time it was Willie Pless as he gets by Andy McVeigh's block, and Doug Flutie once again takes a hit, and I've counted about 6 pretty solid hits that Doug Flutie has taken tonight.
Wiggins and Pee Wee Smith to the near side. 5 receivers, Stampeders. Calgary leading 10-7. This is second down. Over the middle this time, and Sapunjis couldn't make the catch. He was home free.
Flutie looking at James Sapunjis, can't make the catch.
He was wide open.
Well, you won't see this too often. Here's Sapunjis out here, and just as he gets by Errol Martin right in here into the open territory, Flutie sees it and reads it perfectly. Watch the timing. As soon as he gets by him, hey, the ball's in the air, it's perfect. Only one problem. Dave Sapunjis didn't hang on to the football, but from a recognition standpoint, boy, did he read the right spot to be in, and Flutie saw it quickly.
He might have had 6. Low snap. Martino digs it out of the turf. And this one is shanked right. Eskimos will get the ball back, trailing 10-7. Live from Commonwealth. Almost a full house for the CFL tonight. Eskimos getting ready for a first down. Leaf, at the outset, you said the difference in this ball game would be the Eskimos' ability to control the ball. They really haven't done that so far, and they're down by 3.
Yeah, what a difference that does make. You know, obviously they need to score some more points than they have been lately, but they keep Doug Flutie off the field in doing that, and you see the time of possession favoring the Calgary Stampeders. Not too bad, but if that trend continues throughout this second half, obviously Calgary's going to have enough opportunities to put this game away. So for Damon Allen, he has to start putting some first downs together and eating up that clock somewhat. They're in very good position, only trailing by 3, but they just have to get some more offense going here and open up that short passing game, I believe.
Eskimos from the 31 on first down. They've only had 6 first downs on the night. Tight coverage. Alondra Johnson. Lucius Floyd was the intended receiver.
Well, the ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage, and this causes the problems for Lucius Floyd. Zizakovic gets the hand on it, and just as Floyd goes to make the catch, Johnson is right there all over them. I mean, had that ball not been tipped, he would have made the catch, and it would have been a good play on first down.
Now it is 2nd and 10. Eskimos at the 31, trailing by 3. Here comes the blitz. Allen looks for Williams, and the Giz can't make the catch. Good coverage by Carl Anthony. Knox was coming on the play on Damon Allen.
Well, and here they are right out here, just to let you know what side of the field they're coming from. But watch 19, Carl Anthony. He times this perfectly, and Williams is a short guy, so he can go up over the top of Williams because he's only about 5'6", and Anthony up over the top with just a tremendous defensive play. I mean, you don't see any better corner play than that.
Here's Harper. This will be the 16th punt of the ball game. 8 each way. Good one by Harper down at the 35. Flag is down, and Crawford starts the return for Calgary. He's forced into the Stampeder bench. 44-yard punts.
Well, let's go back to this. Henry Williams is only 5'6", and sometimes that causes a problem because look how easy it is for Anthony to go up and over the top of him and make that play with his right hand. But you talk about body control in the air. I mean, Anthony with a great play, body control. Crawford with a great play on his touchdown.
10-yard penalty, first down.
The Stampeders truly have some great athletes on their team.
That was clipping called against Calgary's Greg Knox, so the Stampeders will start back inside the 30-yard line. Ball spotted at the 27. Stampeders lead the CFL in 17 of 35 offensive categories. 1st and 10 Calgary here with 5 receivers in for Doug Flutie. Here comes the pressure, and Flutie is down again. Woods was there, but I think Malvin Hunter will get credit for the sack. He's had a great ball game. And pressure from Benny Goods as well.
Benny Goods forced Flutie back up the middle, and Malvin Hunter, number 46, the blitzing linebacker, was there waiting for him. And there you see Goods coming, and Flutie able to get away from him, but not from Hunter. And once again, the Edmonton defense, boy, they have done a whale of a job tonight.
How long can they hold on?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
Stampeders on second and about 14. Here's Flutie. Looking deep. Crawford is the intended receiver, and it's picked off. Second interception. This is Glenn Rogers Jr. And a penalty marker goes down as Rogers is brought down by Pee Wee Smith. Ball seemed to hang up a little bit. Second time that's happened to Flutie.
Well, the Edmonton defense is getting what they want. They want Flutie to put the ball up deep and have it hang in the air for a long time, and then they feel they have the ability to react to it. Look at Ed Berry. He turns Crawford loose because he knows he has help from Rogers deep, and watch Rogers gamble and come underneath, go up high, and that is a terrific interception. His 4th of the season, and you know, I talked about him earlier. He has been a young guy that has come in and made a real impact on this club in a short period of time.
Penalty was against Pee Wee Smith, face masking on the tackle. So the Eskimos are set up inside the Stampeder 45. Damon Allen has time, gets a screen pass out to Lucius Floyd. Well read by Johnson, and Floyd tried to spin off. Alondra Johnson hung on.
And a good battle between Floyd and Alondra Johnson in the open field.
Watch Alondra Johnson, 51 right here. Hey, he sees Floyd sneaking out of here, but he is one of these guys that has the speed to stay with a back, and there's no chance for Floyd to get away from AJ.
A loss of 1. This is second and 11. Brown makes the catch, turns, and gets the first down. He's inside the 30. Stopped by Carl Anthony.
And the first catch of the night for Eddie Brown, and Calgary does a great job of taking him out of Edmonton's offense with their linebackers and inside guys, but finally they get one to him, and nice spin move to get away from Gerald Vaughn. And you know, desperately the Eskimos would love to take advantage of the Rogers interception.
14-yard gain, setting the Eskimos up. The Calgary 30. Nowhere to run. Back to the line of scrimmage. Lucius Floyd caught by Eric Johnson, number 84.
Now we think of Calgary as just a great pass rushing front four, but those 4 guys really can play the run hard too. Eric Johnson really stuck Chris Morris in the hole, played off him with one hand, and with a free hand brought down Lucius Floyd.
Floyd played 44 games with Saskatchewan, totaling 4,760 combined yards. Shotgun formation. Allen, nowhere to go. Now looks out and slips it out to Michael Souls. Good run by Souls. He's near the first down. Alondra Johnson over to make the stop. A 9-yard gain. See where they spot the ball.
And this will be a very interesting decision. I think they may be a little short of the first down, but Damon Allen does a good job to avoid Hasselbeck right there, coming in on from behind, and dumps it to Michael Souls. And Souls with some good hard running gets very close to that first down marker, and they will measure, but I think this becomes a very interesting decision if they are short, which they are by a little bit. And you know, 3 points would tie it up, but I honestly think you're only going to get so many opportunities against Wally Buono's team, and I really think they've got to go for it here and go for the touchdown.
That was a fine play by Allen getting it to Walling there, and he's been rather effective on this drive. It'll be third down. Or Michael Souls, I should say.
But I think this is a good call by Ron Lancaster. This is the time to gamble. You can't just try and tie it up and hope you can hang on. This is your chance.
Third down gamble, and the Eskimos make it work.
It's interesting that Damon Allen went in behind Steve Krupe, the right guard, who's only playing in his 3rd game, replacing Randy Ambrosi. And you have to think Allen showed a lot of confidence in the young guard to follow him for that crucial first down.
Big game for the Eskimos, chasing the BC Lions and the Calgary Stampeders in the CFL West. Stampeders unbeaten in 10. Leading here at 10-7, 6:20 to go, third quarter.
Edmonton with a first down at the Calgary 20. Big hole for Lucius Floyd. He is inside the 15 and stopped by Alondra Johnson.
Alondra Johnson has some tremendous range. He comes all the way from the backside to come across and make this play, as it appeared Lucius Floyd had some running room through that hole, and they are feared. These two guys are tough.
38 tackles apiece. Second down, Eskimos, and here comes the blitz, but Souls beats it for the touchdown. A 14-yard touchdown.
That's what all that play action and bootlegging will do. Allen's faked this so many times that's what Calgary thought might happen, and all Michael Souls needed was a good block at the point of attack, and he's able to get into the end zone with the Edmonton touchdown, which may turn out to be one of the most crucial touchdowns they've scored all season long.
Second touchdown of the year for Michael Souls, and something to celebrate at Commonwealth tonight as the Eskimos move out in front of the Stampeders by 4. It's 14-10 and lots of football ahead. From Commonwealth in Edmonton, CFL Live. Eskimos 6 plays, 43 yards and 4:04, and Michael Souls, nice 14-yard touchdown run.
Nice tough touchdown run for Michael Souls. His second touchdown rushing this year. Gets a big hug from Blake Marshall, but I'm going to show you how it occurred. Here's Alondra Johnson in the hole, and watch Chris Morris come down on the trap here, and then it's the draw right up the gut with Michael Souls, but Damon Allen has faked this so many times. I think he caught Calgary a little by surprise, but Chris Morris with a huge block at the point of attack that was the reason why Michael Souls got in the end zone.
The Eskimos have regained the lead on Michael Souls' touchdown.
And boy, did they need that for their confidence level. I mean, they have struggled tonight terribly. But they gambled on third down, which was a great call, and Ron Lancaster was rewarded by his offense with a very, very crucial touchdown.
Damon Allen looked to be in control of the offense on that sequence. He was really using good play selection, and obviously he got the touchdown.
Well, the running game will make a big difference for him here in the second half if they are able to continue running the way they have.
Here's the Calgary return. It is Brian Wiggins looking for room, far side, slowed down, and not brought down until he reached the 40-yard line. Ed Berry over to make the tackle on Brian Wiggins. So Doug Flutie tries to get the Calgary Stampeders back into the lead. 12 of 27 for 137 in the first half. 2 interceptions, not a typical Flutie night so far.
Well, the Glenn Rogers interception resulted in this Edmonton touchdown by Michael Souls. Doug Parrish had the first interception on the opening drive of the third quarter.
Stampeders from the 39 with a 5-receiver set. Flutie stands in and fires. Sapunjas dropped his second of the night. Don Wilson was covering, and I thought David should have made that catch.
Oh, sure he should have. That was a great throw by Flutie. As soon as he cleared Wilson, got in the open, this ball was right on the money, and that's a catch that Dave Sapunjas will make most of the time. He's just having a tough night.
Second and 10. Flutie, 5 receivers to choose from. Near side, he picks out Smith. And he stopped short of the first down, got away from one tackler, but not the next one, and he comes up a little short. Gord?
John, it's interesting. After David Sapunjas dropped that first pass over the middle, Doug Flutie went up to him and said, look, I know you can make that catch when we need you to, and I'm going right back to you. He did there, and Sapunjas dropped it one more time. This time, Flutie's a little angrier at his receiver.
Now, we talked to Ron Lancaster, Gord, this morning about that. If you got a receiver that's not having a great night, how many balls do you give him if he drops before you go somewhere else? And I think the consensus was 2. So he's had his 2.
What year was it that Lancaster kicked the helmet off the field after you dropped one?
I forget.
Yeah. Here's Martino. And here's the Giz. Nowhere to go. Completely surrounded, maybe one after a 46-yard Martino punts. Big hang time on that.
You know, the mark of a good team, guys, obviously is how it deals with adversity. And it's interesting, Calgary hasn't faced a whole lot this year. This is only the 4th time in 11 games that Calgary has trailed at any time in the second half. When you think about how football games ebb and flow, Calgary is not used to being in this position.
Eskimos will start deep in their own zone at the 19-yard line. This is Lucius Floyd. Out across the 30, and that'll be a first down. He's looked impressive for the Eskimos. An 11-yard gain there. Stopped by Gerald Vaughn, number 38 for the Stampeders.
And the Eskimos have changed their scheme in the second half here. They've made some adjustments. Their play calling on first down is a lot better. Hey, they've run the ball well. Now they go to play action and free up Lucius Floyd out in the flat. They get a first down, and boy, they have made some serious adjustments at halftime, and their plays are much better.
Allen looking deep, far side. The Giz is the intended receiver. And there was tight coverage from Douglas Kraft, who is making his second start for the Stampeders. One interception tonight.
The Calgary Stampeders are a very difficult team to go deep against. The corners take outside positions on the wide receivers and try to funnel them back into the middle where they know they're going to get help from Greg Knox, and Greg Knox is good at that, but they are a tough team to go over the top of. No, that's not bad every once in a while to test them, to air it out, to show that you're going to do it, but it's difficult to hit the home run against them.
2nd and 10 Eskimos, leading 14-10. Little swing pass to Floyd, breaks one tackle, and gets near a first down. This will be interesting on the spot of the ball. Looks like about 9 yards. Shreko Zizakovic made the tackle.
Once again, an interesting gamble, and I think at this point, you know,
less than a yard.
Tough to tell. You're deep in your own territory. You better make sure you have a pretty good third down play called.
Third down, 1 yard to go. Eskimos ball at the 39.
Ooh, I don't know about this one.
Well, if it works, you're a hero. Third down, less than a yard to go for the Eskimos. Allen dives under, and it'll be a first down, Edmonton. So he's a hero for now. Good call, Ron.
Right tackle, Chris Moore, leading away.
You liked his call earlier, but that was because it was at the other end of the field, and the Eskimos were trailing at the time and had to assert themselves.
Well, I think you have to understand the decision process that Ron Lancaster has to wrestle with. I mean, you know, we think it's a pretty good gamble on 3rd and 1 with our offense to pick it up, and it's twofold. I mean, we get to keep the ball away from Flutie, and I think that as much as anything, that's what Lancaster's thinking when he has to make those decisions. Srečko Zizakovic, who has been injury-free most of the year, is the injured Stampeder here.
Yeah, a little practice over there for Sapunjas and Flutie. They have missed a couple tonight. At least Sapunjas is 0 for 3 in his direction, and 2 I think he should have made catches on.
And in fact, John Sapunjas asked Doug Flutie to start throwing him some footballs just so he could squeeze them and remember how it feels.
Zizakovic being attended to by Pat Clayton. Appears to be his left knee, and is going to require some assistance to get off the field.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate. You and I were having a nice chat with Srečko before the game tonight, and you know, one of the things I said to him was, hey, you're playing well this year, and I would have to think one of the reasons why is you're healthy for a change. And he said, yeah, you know, that's really the knock on wood kind of thing, but I have had an injury-free season, and now just so tough to see him go down there. He's a good guy.
Frustrating moment right now for Srečko Zizakovic, who heads to the Stampeder dressing room.
Well, we're going to have a good look at here. This is Zizakovic right here. Now watch as he goes up over the top on the quarterback sneak. Chris Morris is going to come in and plant one right on the left knee of Zizicovic. And I'm not sure if that's what caused it, but you're going to see the shoulder right in there, and it kind of almost hyperextended it as he was in the air.
Eskimos are 1st and 10 out across the 40 at the 41. Damon Allen fakes once and over the middle for Gary Norris. Big first down for the Eskimos who move into Stampeder territory. Morris's first catch is good for 21 yards.
Sreko Zizicovic done for the night after stretching a medial collateral ligament. No word on how much longer he'll be out, but he won't be back this evening.
Eskimos now inside the Calgary 50 at the 47. Lucius Floyd cuts back in near the 40.
Well, there's no question, John, the key in the second half has been Edmonton's first down production. They have not put themselves in too many bad situations here, and as a result, their offense is functioning at a much higher level here with 48 seconds to go in the third quarter. This has been a solid quarter for them. They've kept the ball away from Calgary, and there you see the time of possession here in the third quarter, and that's the difference so far.
14-10, Edmonton leading the Stampeders. Allen, another good fake, but he can't find a receiver. He surrenders.
You know what, John? That's okay, though. I mean, you know, the defense is going to win some of these battles, and they won the battle on second down there, but Damon Allen did the right thing. He took the sack. He didn't throw the ball any place where it could be picked off, and hey, the worst thing that's going to happen is Harper gets to come in, and he's had a good night punting, and they're going to pin Calgary deep, make Flutie play on a long football field. That's your objective. And although his numbers have not been good, he has picked it up enough in the third quarter to have a 4-point lead.
Harper standing near his 50. Trying to angle it out deep, but he sailed it into the end zone.
And that's not what he wanted.
15-10 Edmonton.
They would much rather have the field position than the single point at this point, but there is a flag down, so we'll wait and see how they sort it out. But make no mistake, Harper wanted to kick that one out of bounds.
Second time that's happened to the Eskimos tonight. Harper has 2 singles, and he was looking for that field position.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Edmonton number 24 after the play. Single point stands. First down.
It's Dan
Ron
Murphy.
Lancaster talked to us before this game about the Eskimos taking penalties on special teams. On that occasion, Dan Murphy kicked at one of the Stampeder players and was penalized for it, and it's cost them field position.
Yeah,
wow.
Out near the 50. Look at this.
Wow, you know, like you get a point that you really didn't even want, and you get them Calgary out to their own 50. I mean, that is tough to take.
5 receivers set for Flutie. Here comes the charge. He stands in. It's batted down and picked off. Larry Ruck, number 47, comes up with it for the Eskimos. Big turnover. Eskimos get it right back after a costly error.
Yeah, and I think number 90, Leonard Johnson, got the tip there, and he's a tall guy, 6'7", gets the hands up. You're going to see it right in the middle. And Larry Ruck with the interception. So another big break for the Eskimos.
Today.
Welcome back to Commonwealth. We're ready for the fourth quarter with the Eskimos taking possession on the third interception tossed up by Doug Flutie. It's Edmonton leading Calgary 15-10. Eskimos with a first down.
And they have a great chance to take control of this game right here after that interception by Ruck.
Lucius Floyd, penalty marker is down as Floyd runs for the first down, stopped by Greg Knox. See what the penalty is, 16 yards as it stands right now.
That will sort the penalty out in a second, but I think it's worth a second look to go back and have a look at Leonard Johnson. Hey, he's working in on the center and Bruce Covington, and watch the play he makes. Hey, he knows he's not going to get in and get the sack. He's double teamed here, but he does the next best thing. Watch him go up, and at 6'7", he knocks that ball. Ruck gets the interception, but that is a heck of a play by a guy who, for all intents and purposes, was out of it, but used his head to do the next best thing he could.
Holding called against the Eskimos. It is 1st and 20. Edmonton back at the 52. And not much room for the drop play that time. 4 yards. Harold Hasselback leading the Stampeder tacklers, and here's how it looks through 3 quarters. The Eskimos having 178 net yards compared to 122 for the Stampeders. Look at the Eskimo time of possession. Much of that advantage picked up in the 3rd quarter.
And that's what we call the difference in this game. If they can control the ball, keep it away from Flutie, what a difference that'll make. I think a difference too, John, is they had about 100 yards in offense in that 3rd quarter as well.
Blitz is on. Allen stands in and is on target. Williams makes the catch at the 35. His first of the night. Had opportunities earlier, but that's a clutch catch by the Giz.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, you know, as a quarterback, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, because I'm not sure if Damon Allen was throwing this to Eddie Brown or not. It seems to sail on him as he avoids the pressure of Hasselback, and Henry Williams was alert. Came up with the catch to keep this drive going.
Eskimos now at the Stampeder 36, 1st down. Lucius Floyd. He ran into Will Johnson, number 81. Looks like about 3 for Lucius Floyd. He's really turned in a fine performance considering he's been in town and in the Eskimos organization for about 3.5 days.
Well, I think you're right, John. It just shows you the intelligence of these players that, to his credit, he can come in and pick up an offense that quickly.
2nd and 7. Allen shotgun. Here comes Johnson. Allen far side on target. It's Eddie Brown. Stopped by Vaughn after an 18-yard gain, and the Eskimos continue to drive.
Eddie Brown makes a great play working on Gerald Vaughn. And there you see him right here. Watch as he works Vaughn inside, and as he breaks to the out, Vaughn tries to gamble and come underneath and makes a poor decision, but it's a good throw by Damon Allen. See, watch right there. Vaughn's trying to come underneath it. He just simply doesn't get out there.
Eskimos 1st down at the Stampeder 11. Allen under the cover. Michael Soles couldn't make the catch. Alondra Johnson was out there with Soles. Catchable football, I'd think.
That really was. No reason for Michael Soles not to make this catch. Ball put in a perfect spot for him, and the right decision by Allen to throw it to Soles quickly.
Eskimos leading by 5. It's 15-10 at Commonwealth.
And when you're playing against an undefeated team, you better make the most of your opportunities, and this is a glorious one for Edmonton now.
Watch for the blitz here. Allen has a man open. Touchdown. Lucius Floyd, number 33. First touchdown as an Eskimo. Something to celebrate.
Hey, that was good.
Might as well party a while longer, Lucius.
Well, he's happy just to be playing again. You know, he lost his job in Saskatchewan to Mike Saunders, and don't think he's not happy to have a team to come and play for. And boy, he's not finished as a pro yet.
Fleming's point after, and the Eskimos pad their lead by 7.
And they took advantage of their opportunity, and I think that was crucial to the confidence of the team and for the defense that's played so well. Now they get renewed confidence that their offense can do the job in a critical situation.
Edmonton leading Calgary 22-10. Damon Allen has been a much different quarterback in the second half. 8 of 14, 110 yards, 1 touchdown toss there, and he engineered another touchdown drive earlier.
Okay, here you got Lucius Floyd right here. Let it go. Matt Finley's working on it. Let it run a little bit. Finley's in man-to-man coverage. I'm going to show you what happened. Stop it right there. Esquire, well, we just missed it, but J.P. Esquire came in. There it is right there. Hey, look, he's got 2 guys tied up. No way Finley can get out and cover Lucius Floyd. Call it what you want, pick, rub, whatever. But that's the reason why Lucius Floyd was so open and scored the touchdown. One more look. Hey, there it is. Boom.
J.P. gets an assist on this one.
Oh, he sure does. I mean, there's no way Finley can get out and make the cover there.
Here's Fleming's kickoff. Wiggins on the return, number 80. Tries the near side. Good tackle by Jay Christensen. An impressive scoring drive engineered by Damon Allen. 8 plays, 48 yards, 342, and an 11-yard touchdown toss to Lucius Floyd, his first touchdown catch as an Eskimo.
Yeah, and once again set up by a very uncharacteristic Calgary turnover. The interception by Larry Ruck. And hey, is this any good? Gizmo, you got some competition on this team now. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, this has turned into a pretty good ball game, but Flutie's not finished yet. Quarterback draw here. He'll have the first down. Dragged down from behind. 13 yards for Doug Flutie, and Willie Pless tracked him down.
I think the thing that Calgary does so well is spread out their offense, and then that affords Doug Flutie some pretty decent lanes to run on the quarterback draw. That Edmonton defense spread out so far across the field.
That was only the second down for the Stampeders in the second half. Wide out pattern, far side. Pee-wee makes the catch. Doug Parrish makes the tackle. 7 yards the gain. Stampeders can score in bunches. They scored 18 in the fourth quarter on Labor Day at McMahon.
And it has been their best quarter throughout the year offensively.
5 receiver set. Flutie gets away from the first rush and slides safely for another first down. He draws a penalty. Benny Goods missing Flutie.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Edmonton number 47. First down.
Well, already this is an impressive Flutie march.
Now watch as Flutie's going down. No intent to run the ball any further. And man, if that's unnecessary roughness, I can't believe that one.
Almost looked like Ruck was blocked into Flutie.
That's a brutal call.
5 receiver set. Flutie on first down, and he's on target once more. Short of the first down. Moore made the catch.
John, you mentioned that Edmonton remembers from Monday how Calgary can score. Also from last year in a game played here, Edmonton led by 10 points late in the fourth quarter. Doug Flutie engineered 2 late scores and then won it in overtime almost single-handedly.
2nd and 1, and Flutie converts, so the Stampeders will have a first down at the 25. 33-13 on the Labor Day afternoon. We talked about the Stampeder comeback in the fourth.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that they can do it again, and Ron Lancaster knows that only too well. You're talking almost 9 minutes to go in this game.
Stampeders are 1st and 10 at the Eskimo 25. Flutie with 5 receivers in shotgun formation. This is Crawford. Crawford gets by Parrish, and he is inside the 15 for another Calgary first down. The gain is 12. Dan Murphy over from his safety spot.
And Edmonton secondary staying predominantly in a zone coverage, so Calgary puts receivers at all levels of the field, downfield, and if Edmonton is going to drop off, Flutie will throw to the short guy. That time it was Crawford, and all of a sudden Doug Flutie's in a rhythm and making it look pretty easy.
Eskimos are changing defensive linemen by the play. Here's Flutie himself. He is inside the 10 and down to about the 5. Pinned by Tony Woods, number 91. Quick drive for Flutie to get down to the Eskimo 5 and a 7-yard gain. He's carried 3 times himself in this sequence.
And a frustrating series for Benny Goods. He missed the tackle again right there, missed the sack a few plays ago, and Flutie is mixing it up nicely with his own running ability and, of course, some good pass completions that he's made.
Second down and 3, the ball at the Eskimos 6. This is the pitch to McVay. Touchdown, Andy McVay. So the Stampeders jump right back in. It's 22-16.
And that's a play they put in specially for today's game. Just a new wrinkle. A little something new that Edmonton hadn't seen them run before. It's the option. And as Flutie goes down the line, Larry Ruck can do nothing right. If he goes to Flutie, he pitches to McVay. If he goes to McVay, Flutie will run. So you put the linebacker Ruck in a terrible position, and Calgary Stampeders score the touchdown.
22-16, and that, Leaf, is the first touchdown rushing for the Stampeders scored by someone other than Doug Flutie this season.
Yeah, that's true. Flutie had 7.
Going for a 2-point conversion. 5 receivers set. Flutie has a man open in the end zone. Tipped away. Glenn Rogers Jr., another fine play. We've talked about him quite a bit tonight. He's a fine find for the Eskimos.
Yeah, he really is, and he's had an interception tonight at a crucial stage and got the tip. And
Flutie's a little mad at himself over this pass.
Well, I mean, Doug Flutie thinks he should complete everything, and it just doesn't work that way.
Stampeders are close, though, and there's lots to go. On CFL Live from Commonwealth. A 6-point ball game at Commonwealth in Edmonton. The Eskimos on top, 22-16, 7:18 to play. Tonight's TSN Turning Point following the game will be brought to you by Apple Auto Glass. Guaranteed the pick of the crop from coast to coast.
Some things in life are perfectly clear. Repairing your windshield instead of replacing it makes sense. An unrepaired windshield becomes 50 pounds of unrecyclable garbage. Let Apple repair that stone chip and do your part for the environment.
It didn't take long for Doug Flutie to find the end zone again. 8 plays, 76 yards, 4 minutes time of possession. And the rushing touchdown by Andy McVay. Number 8 along the ground for the Stampeders this season, and Flutie had the previous 7. Here's the Calgary kickoff. And here's the giz. Somehow squirting through to the 40-yard line. A 25-yard return after a 60-yard kickoff. And Tony Stewart led the tacklers for Calgary. Allen has had a very impressive second half.
Well, he's picked the numbers up. Good third quarter, good fourth quarter, but the pressure is on them once again. They've got a 6-point lead. They have to protect that, and the best way to do it is to do what they did on the last series. Just drive it methodically down the field, not be too fancy, but keep the ball away from Flutie.
Keep it away from Flutie. That's the key. Running game has worked rather effectively, but not there. 54,324 on hand at Commonwealth tonight. It is great to see this place almost filled.
And I think they've seen a pretty good ball game. Got off to a sluggish start. Defense has dominated the first half, but here in the second, things have opened up nicely, and it's been a very, very entertaining game.
Allen from the shotgun on 2nd and 8. Here comes the pressure. Allen escapes, looking for room to the outside. He's short of the first down.
And it's the speed of the Calgary linebacking core that shut down Damon Allen. It looked as though he was going to have an easy time to pick up that first down, but all of a sudden, when he got past Marvin Pope, who was waiting for him, Marvin's buddy AJ, 51 to Londra Johnson, and they come up a little bit short.
Yeah, and this is not a time to gamble. It is 3rd and 1, but it looks like a long yard to Ron Lancaster right now. So kick it away and try and get it back in a hurry. 22-16, Edmonton leading Calgary. It's turned into a pretty fine football game. 5:55 to go. Glenn Harper has had a solid night tonight. High kick, good hang time on this one. It'll be tough for the Stampeders to make a play. Watts ahead on the CFL Live. Eskimos lead by 6 at Commonwealth.
Play million.
Doug Flutie so far 16 of 34, 173 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. He's been averaging 393 in yards passing per game, so he's well below his average as it stands right now. Eskimo defense, or is Flutie having an off night?
Well, Flutie's had a couple of balls dropped by his receivers, and he's missed some balls, and I think it's a combination of both. I think Edmonton's defense, especially the secondary, done a pretty decent job.
5 receivers in for Flutie, and it's almost picked off. Crawford fell as he was trying to make the catch, and Ed Berry had an opportunity. He sprawled but couldn't bring it in.
Ken Moore does a nice job to kick Leroy Blue out to the outside, so Flutie has a lane to throw in, and boy, he simply flat out missed his receiver, and Ed Berry had a nice opportunity with that interception there. But look at the lanes Flutie has to throw into there.
Flutie avoiding the rush, and he gets his man. This is Pee Wee Smith. Smith got away from 1 tackle.
That's catch of the ball game right there.
Ed Berry made the stop, 21 yards on 2nd and 10.
I can tell you one thing about Pee Wee Smith. He is not a starter anymore. He comes in specialty situations, but this year he has made the most of his opportunities, and that was the catch of the night.
5 receivers in for Flutie on the hurry-up offense. 6 in the secondary for the Eskimos. Wiggins couldn't make that one. Number 80.
Let's go back and look at that Pee Wee Smith catch once again. This is worth it.
Oh, hang on. That's
nope.
The Wiggins miss.
We don't have that one, but trust me, it was a beauty.
And as you said, a critical catch for the Stampeders with 4:39 remaining. Calgary trails Edmonton 22-16. Markers are down. Flutie tries to find a receiver, almost picked off. Eskimos look to be offside.
Jed Roberts jumped. It's mental discipline. You've got to have yourself under control at the crucial stages of the game, and Doug Flutie knew all the way that he had a free one there.
Come on, Andy. Let's go.
Offside. Edmonton number 43. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down, repeated.
It's a killer. They got a chance to win a ball game here against the number 1 team in the league, and boy, nothing more frustrating for a head coach than to see his team make some silly mistakes in crunch time.
And now it's 2nd and 5. Flutie far side, no catch. Glenn Rogers Jr. was covering, and Flutie heads to the bench.
Well, that is just another outstanding play by Glenn Rogers Jr. He had perfect coverage on Moore. The ball was on target, but he stuck the left hand in, stripped the ball loose, and he has put on a clinic tonight. Big interception in the 3rd quarter and a crucial knockdown here, and I'm sure what's going through Wally Buono's mind right now is the streak over. They are 10-0, as has been well documented.
Martino, good kick. Eddie Brown at his 20. Markers are down, and they'll bring this one back. Penalty against Damian Lyons. 22-16.
One thing the Edmonton Eskimos do every week at practice that very few other CFL teams do is practice every situation for the last 3 minutes of a football game. Ahead by a few points, behind by a few points. And they code name each of them. Right now they're going into what they call their gold offense, which is stall, kill the clock. And what they're talking about is don't give Flutie the ball with any kind of time left. They're well aware of what he can do with it.
And of course, Gord, that means plays that don't go out of bounds. Maybe Damon Allen's going to run the bootleg and run with it himself to try and knock off a few more seconds. But the discipline factor is really hurting Edmonton right now. The offside penalty by Roberts. Now the clipping call against Lyons has set them in a deep hole.
Yeah, the Eskimos really have to come upfield and get a point or two out of, or a point or three out of this one right now.
Well, I think they just have to kill the clock. You got 3:47 left, which is an eternity, and you know, on Ron Lancaster, no one knows better than him about Doug Flutie and what he relishes throughout a game. And you know, Flutie right now is on the sideline saying, "This is what I love about football in my career and why I'm such a good player, is I'm going to get that ball back. I'm going to beat these guys." And he honestly believes that. And he knows that if he's got enough time left on the clock, he's going to come through. His confidence level is so high. So for Edmonton now, imperative that they put some first downs together and try and kill that clock.
Despite inconsistencies, Damon Allen is still the second-ranked quarterback in passing efficiency in the league with a 90.8 rating. Flutie is number 1 at 106.6. There's the numbers on Damon so far tonight. He needs at least one more solid drive.
Well, John, if I was calling the plays for Edmonton, I really like that bootleg where Allen goes, fakes, and then runs to the outside.
Eskimos begin from the 10-yard line. Lucius Floyd got the call. Marvin Pope, 3 yards for Lucius Floyd. He's played a little more than I thought he would tonight, and at least that the indication from the Eskimos as far as the pregame plan.
Yeah, he's been a big part of this offense, and I think that did fool everybody. Probably fooled Calgary a little bit too. They couldn't believe that he could pick it up that quickly, but to his credit, he has. He's got a touchdown reception tonight, and I think he has made a very nice impact on this Edmonton offense.
Big play. They mark it a gain of 5, 2nd and 5. Eskimos trying to get across the 20-yard line. Allen is on target for Eddie Brown, and this might be the play of the night. Greg Frears finally made the stop to Brown. Third catch for Brown, and that definitely was a big one.
Oh, and I think you're so right, John. You know, you talk about key plays throughout a game. This has to be a large one for Edmonton. Eddie Brown on a 2nd down and long. Gets to the inside of Gerald Vaughn with the big catch. They get out of trouble. What a big first down that was for the Edmonton offense.
He broke a big tackle there as well for a 36-yard gain. So the Eskimos get out of the shadow of their goalpost. And are 1st and 10 when we return with a 6-point lead. Last win at Commonwealth Stadium for the Calgary Stampeders, August 28, 1992. Big scoring game, 45-38 in overtime. Stamps have now won 3 in a row from the Eskimos. Labor Day, of course, back to the playoffs last year in that game. Ron Lancaster trying to hang on to a 6-point lead, but there's a lot of clock remaining, 2:51 to go, and Flutie can hardly wait to get his hands back on the football.
Well, the one good thing, obviously, I mean, they get the first down and keep possession, but they reestablished that field position battle tonight as they're almost out at midfield.
On first down, a big hole opens up for Michael Souls, number 32, and that'll be another Edmonton first down. Alondra Johnson makes the stop after a 13-yard gain.
And this is the counter play that Edmonton runs so successfully. Floyd goes this way, a step here by Souls, and he gets led up through the hole by the backside tackle, Blake Dermott. And they have had great success with the counter tonight. Perfect hole at the point of attack. Chris Morris with a good block on Will Johnson. And the Edmonton Eskimos are doing everything right at this point in time to hang on to their 6-point lead and try and put this game away.
Michael Souls is averaging better than 8 yards a carry, 5 for 43. 13 on the previous carry, good for an Eskimo first down at the Stampeder 45.
Yeah, kind of vintage Edmonton running game that they really haven't had this year, and they've been able to establish that tonight, and that graphic certainly illustrates that they are much above their season average.
First down Edmonton, Calgary 45-yard line, 2:15 to go, 4th quarter. Another hole opens up, not a first down this time, but substantial yardage nonetheless for Michael Souls, who's within a couple of the first down.
You really have to think with the injury to Srečko Zizakovic what impact this may have had on the game, because they are running between the tackles right now. Mark Pierce is in replacing Zizakovic, but Up until that point, Sireko Zizakovic was having an excellent game against the run.
Walling is in for Michael Soul, shaken up on the last play.
Good tackles, Michael.
Good night for Souls.
8-yard gain. 2nd and 2. 1:55 to go. Walling got the call, and he has a first down. Eskimos have run the ball effectively. 3rd and 4th quarter in particular.
And Walling broke the tackle of number 99, Mark Pierce. You're going to get a great look at it right into your living room here, but Pierce had him wrapped up initially, but Walling broke the tackle, got the extra few yards to get the first down and keep this drive going.
Esquardo is out, Christensen in. First down Edmonton, inside the Stampeder 30. Allen, good fake, and carries himself to the outside. 1:22 remaining. It is a 6-point ball game with the Eskimos leading the Stampeders 22-16.
You can see Damon Allen as he approached the sidelines. He knew he wanted to stay in bounds, and he will go down before he hits the sidelines, but he wasn't touched, so he slid out of bounds, and the clock will stop exactly what he didn't want to do. That's a bit of a mental error right there.
I'd say so. 2nd and 5.
See, that clock's not going to start till the snap. He could have headed down to 1:02.
1:22 on the clock. Penalty markers are down. Looks like a Calgary offside to me, Leifert.
Well, you start looking one step further. If this drive does fizzle out, they're in great shape for the field goal, which would give them a 9-point lead, and that might be just a little too much for Calgary to overcome. So they have done the job. The Edmonton offense, which had struggled in the first half, has really come through in a big way here in the fourth.
Calgary number 38. First down.
That's Gerald Vaughn, called offside. .133 yards rushing. Yeah, that's part of the storyline, as well as 18 points second half. Only the second time this season that Calgary has allowed 100 yards rushing. The previous time was against Winnipeg. Now 1:16 to go. First down Edmonton. Walling again.
Good hit by Will Johnson, but the Eskimos, all they have to do now is just keep this neat and clean. Don't turn it over. Don't beat yourself, and they should knock off the undefeated Calgary Stampeders.
Coming into the game, the Eskimos with a 6-4 record. The Stampeders haven't been beaten since last year. They've won 10 straight this year in the regular season. Not to mention the preseason, the Grey Cup, the playoff last year. Allen just flips it up. And here's Lucius Floyd. Touchdown! For Lucius Floyd, 2 touchdowns in his debut as an Eskimo.
Well, you have to feel happy for Damon Allen. He's come through in the second half with a pretty darn good performance, and the little flip over the top to Lucius Floyd, and he does the rest.
48 seconds to go.
Guys, you may remember late in the first half that Ron Lancaster went to his bench when Damon Allen was struggling, but he went back to him and he just walked up to him and said, never mind the touchdown. What you just did with the clock was big league.
It really was. 29-16, Edmonton on top of the Stampeders now. 48 seconds to go, and Damon Allen has engineered the Eskimo comeback.
Yeah, and it's amazing what having a running game can do for you. The play action now has become such a weapon for them, and to fake the souls inside, it allowed Lucius Floyd to get wide open, and nobody knows better than Damon Allen what that good running game can do for him in the long term. That could be the drive of the season for the Eskimos. They're at 6-4. This should move them to 7-4, back in the hunt for certainly second place in the West.
Eddie Brown, a 36-yard catch, really got the Eskimos out of their own zone, and that allowed Allen to run the time off the clock that was necessary.
Yeah, that was Eddie Brown's only his second catch of the night, but what a huge one it was.
Brian Wiggins with 48 seconds on the clock. Markers are down, and so is Wiggins near the 40.
Well, John, we talked at the beginning of the game what the difference might be.
You were right on the money.
Yeah, you know, could Edmonton control the ball for so many reasons? Obviously, they needed to score points, but they had to keep it away from Doug Flutie. And look at the difference in time. They're almost 8 minutes in the game, and that was largely in the third and fourth quarters. So, hey, a little tip of the hat to Damon Allen and his offense. They did what they had to do to win this football game.
Here's a number for you that backs that up. The last drive, 2 minutes and 59 seconds by Damon Allen.
Well, they should
he took it all the way.
John, they should be proud of themselves because they were certainly struggling, and at a crucial time in their season and in this game, they've come through with the necessary offense.
Enter Steve Taylor. Flutie hasn't shared the quarterbacking very much so far in 1993. Taylor is good on 2 of 4 for 19 yards. This backs up the Eskimo comeback as well. 3 touchdowns in the last 4 possessions for a 29-16 lead. And a not a Flutie night as far as those numbers are concerned. 17 of 38, 194.
Yeah, every defensive coordinator's dream right there. Those numbers for Doug Flutie. He did not have a great night. And, you know, I think a lot of the credit goes to the Edmonton front seven and defensive backs. I mean, they put a lot of pressure on Flutie, much more than he has normally seen this year. And I think it really affected his rhythm. Only really had 1 solid drive all night.
44 seconds remaining. Steve Taylor is at the controls, and Dave Sapunjas shut out so far tonight. Willie Pless covering on Sapunjas, and that might be part of the reason for the Stampeders' downfall. Sapunjas has not had an evening to be happy with.
Well, he hasn't caught a ball, and for the guy that's coming into this week leading the league in receptions with 63, that's not something that you would expect. And hey, those things happen. This is a great football team, the Stampeders. They just didn't have a great night, and Edmonton did.
Now 39 seconds left. Taylor can't find a receiver. Stopped by Doug Parrish, number 14.
And Doug Parrish really his job.
With the win, the Eskimos will move into temporary possession of second place with the BC Lions. This will be Edmonton's 7th victory of the year, and it will be Calgary's first loss. It comes in game number 11.
You know, John, we had a shot at Doug Parrish making a play a moment ago, and I think his presence has really been a difference tonight. He has an interception and has had some solid coverage as that extra defensive back tonight for the Eskimos secondary.
Time ticking down on the Calgary Stampeders.
Penalty marker down.
Flutie has only missed hitting 200 yards passing on 1 other occasion this season. That was week 1 against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
When you look back to the Edmonton schedule, there's Adam Rita. He has to be pleased with the offensive production. It's his offense here in the second half. But you look back to the Edmonton schedule, this is the 3rd game in 8 days for them. They had Sacramento at home, then they had Calgary Labor Day, and now Calgary tonight. And I think they should be pretty pleased with themselves for coming out of this with 2 out of 3, because all 3 were tough games.
And to win 2 out of 3 in 8 days is a bit of a feat for Ron Lancaster and company, too.
So the tough part of their season is now over. They will not have to play any more back-to-back games like they have been. So they have come through this nicely, and looks as though pretty injury-free, too. We will have them next week in Hamilton next Friday night.
Ticats and the Eskimos Friday nights on CFL Live from Ivor Wynn. Martino punts, fielded by Brown. And he just steps out of bounds, killing the clock. Penalty flags are down in the midfield area.
Brown lets the ball out of bounds. Penalty marker down.
There is a marker down. And that's a big win for Ron Lancaster. Eskimos' 7th of the season. And Edmonton did it all in the last half, particularly the third quarter. Damon Allen engineering a come-from-behind victory, 29-16.
Here with Ron Lancaster. Ron, I know after Monday you really wanted to win, but that drive that Damon Allen put together late in the fourth quarter, that was reminiscent of you.
I was telling him on the sideline after the touchdown, I said that was you don't do a better job. We have a little bit of a lead. He took the ball and he marched it right down the field. Well, that is a great sign. That means that he's coming and he's learning and he's going to play the way we want. That was a great football game.
Oh, Lucius Floyd, 2 touchdowns in his Eskimo debut.
I think the guy did a heck of a job for coming in with 1 day full practice and going in and playing as much as he did. And we always knew he was a good football player. We're glad to have him with us.
I know it's important to win every week, but how important to beat them?
I don't know. I guess anytime you play a team that's undefeated and they're the Grey Cup champions and everything, it's always great to win that football game. It's like I said, we get 2 points. We split the series. That's what we wanted to come out of it with, and we got it.
Just one last question. Talk a little about your defense that finally put Doug Flutie in check.
Well, I was watching that defense play the first half. If we don't mess up on offense and our special teams on offense, they don't get those 10 points in the second quarter. I don't know if our defense could play any better than it did that first half, and for 2 straight games now, they've been unbelievable.
Ron, congratulations. Going to celebrate.
Thank you.
Ron Lancaster, the winning coach tonight, and the Calgary Stampeders are no longer undefeated. So the second half of this Battle of Alberta goes to Edmonton, and we'll be back with more from Commonwealth Stadium in just a moment. The TSN Turning Point brought to you by Apple Auto Glass. 3 minutes remaining. Edmonton facing second and long, and Doug Flutie ready to come in from the sidelines when Damon Allen hits Eddie Brown. Brown gets the first down and a whole lot more. 32 yards. Edmonton goes on to score the touchdown and keep Flutie off the field. A cash donation will be made to the Coaching Association of Canada for the training and development of Canadian coaches in amateur sport. On behalf of TSN and Apple Auto Glass, guaranteed the pick of the crop from coast to coast. So here at Commonwealth Stadium, after the Eskimos pour it on, it rains, and the Calgary Stampeders are no longer undefeated. The Eskimos got a key win for them after a horrible loss on Monday, one that could have implications if these 2 teams would beat each other in the postseason. Let's go upstairs for some final thoughts to John and Lee.
Battle of Alberta is always fun and interesting, and when you looked at this football game, it was the second half that made it a lot of fun tonight, and a terrific comeback engineered by Damon Allen with 25 points.
Yeah, the key was, too, they're scoring points, and they kept the ball away from Doug Flutie. They had time of possession 7 more minutes throughout the ball game than Calgary did, and anytime you can do that against Doug Flutie, you've done so many good things, and boy, give the Edmonton Eskimos full value for that victory. The defense set the tone early with some good pressure on Flutie, and they never let up.
No doubt about it, the most important win of the season for the Edmonton Eskimos so far, and the first loss all year for the Calgary Stampeders.
The CFL Live on TSN. Tonight's game has been brought to you by Pepsi. Be young, have fun, drink Pepsi. And by Mark's Work Warehouse, clothes that work. And it's pouring rain here in Edmonton, just in time for the crowd to leave and for the Edmonton Eskimos to celebrate their victory over the Calgary Stampeders. And now it's back to work for the Eskimos and the Stamps have to think about what they'll do now. The 18-0 season has gone the way of the Condor, and so now it's back to the hard work for Calgary to try to rebound from this loss. The Eskimos and the Ticats are next up for us September 17th from Iverwin Stadium in Hamilton, and we'll have it for you next on the CFL Live. Again, our final score, Edmonton 29, Calgary 16. For John Wells, Lee Pedersen, our producer Keith Pelly, and the rest of us at TSN, I'm Gord Miller. So long from Edmonton.